legendary Owen. Tyler Durden from the game.
From the game,
Who,
dude. Let's go.
We've already done a video homage to. This guy's the man.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. The douche cut, though. What do you think about the
I think, bro, like, I think you're pimping. Like, I'm not even being positive. Like, actually, this is good. This is probably cooler than he had before.
Yeah, well, it's true. It is.
You looked way worse before.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. The drunk Irishman says so.
Yeah.
The multi-millionaire pickup artist guru says so. Everybody says so, dude.
Yeah.
This is the tectonic movements beneath the, I don't know, Generation Z, dude. Right now, it's the LOOKSMAXing community.
Do you want to do the final LOOKSMAX before we go in?
Yes.
Yeah, what's that?
Okay, so let me tell you about it. It's bone smashing. So we're about to get a bone smash pump on our cheekbones.
punch your.
Oh my God.
You got it, bro.
Are you ready?
Oh, and try some bone smashing. Don't knock it.
So look, we're gonna get a pump in our cheekbones. We're gonna punch real quick. So put your hand here and brace your head, and then we're gonna
And
punch.
punch. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I feel it.
You gotta go harder.
Yeah, harder.
I don't want
It hurts. Oh!
Is it going to be
Black eye,
chronic
bro.
traumatic encephalopathy? Are we?
Yo, you're not.
I don't want to get brain damage.
Harder.
I don't want to hit myself.
Gotta hit yourself hard.
Pump or not? Do you want to get
Beauty is
a bunch of
painful.
Stacy's? Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, now he's Chad.
Owen,
Hold your head and do it. Hold your head and do it.
You gotta hold your head and do it, bro.
Yeah,
Hold your
yeah.
head.
Owen, did my chances of getting laid tonight just go up meaningfully?
Way up.
Way up.
Hell
It's
yeah.
done. It's done.
Hey, shout out to Owen, RSD Tyler, the fucking legend.
Can I do an interview with you?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. And then put it on YouTube or Instagram and stuff, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, what is it like to be a mother of three so young?
What did you say?
What is it like to be a mother of three so young?
Mother's.
Yeah, because you can't tell that you'd have kids. Like, when I look at you, like, I can't really imagine you having kids. Like, you know, I don't picture it. But having three children so young.
I just do a lot of sports.
You just pump them out?
Gym and.
But how did you have all those kids so young?
I'm 25, so.
So you had your first one at like 18?
Yeah, that's right.
Next one at like 22?
Yeah, right.
Next one at 24?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And just.
But no more.
I have kids, like right now. And now I'm done. I'm ready.
But what if you
done.
met the right guy to have even one more with?
With the right guy.
Yeah?
I don't want more.
No more?
Yeah, no more.
What brought you to LA?
Huh?
What brought you to LA?
Proud of LA.
What brought you to Los Angeles?
I'm an au pair here.
Really? I bet that you're an amazing, amazing au pair.
That's my husband.
He's not? No? Okay. But can I tell you? I really think you would be an incredible au pair. If you were if I knew that you could be an au pair, I will break my leg right now for you to be an au pair.
I'm just here like 1 month ago.
Yeah?
I don't know this guy.
You don't know him. You're such can I tell you something? You're an amazing woman. I could see that. You're really amazing. Can I tell you? Listen, don't worry about that. You really are.
I don't want to.
You have a great energy to you. You actually do.
You have kids?
I do.
How much?
I have 3
Oh my god.
that I know of. That I know of.
I have 2 kids. I'm an au pair, so I have a kid like 3 years old and 5 years old.
For your au pair?
Yeah.
You're so
them.
petite. The kids will pop out of you.
Yeah, I love them.
Look at the shape you're in too. Let me see. Yeah, for you. Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. Your waist is crazy. That's called, there's a word for that, it's called a snatched waist. Do you know what snatched waist is? Snatched waist when you have a very tight waist. I love your eyes. I love your eyes. I do.
You have
Very
eyes
beautiful
too?
eyes. What's that?
You have blue eyes too?
I do. Yeah, my eyes are blue as well. And
You are handsome, actually. You are. How old are you?
I'm 46.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm 25.
I know I'm 21 years older than you.
I'm a baby
And that's what makes this so awkward. Can I introduce you to my friends for a sec? I have them all over here. Can I introduce you?
Yeah.
Here, hold my hand. Did you like the interview?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Okay, I'll post it, okay? So I teach people how to talk to people a little
Yeah.
bit. So
Yeah.
I believe that, like, you want to be authentic with people.
Yeah.
So some people I think can take a compliment, and some people I think can't. So I really do feel that you have a very beautiful soul to you. So I gave you a lot of compliments. But other people, I might be an asshole.
Yeah, okay.
But you're a very beautiful soul. I could just see that, and you're very playful and you're very fun.
Okay.
You really are. Yeah. So enchanté, okay?
Enchanté.
Enchanté. And it's really cool meeting you.
You're gonna go home like right now?
In a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you doing? What are you up to? If we do an after party later, I'll invite you, okay?
Maybe we can hang out.
And we'll hang out anytime, and I'll tell you when I post it too, okay?
Of course, okay, take care of you, okay?
Okay.
Have a nice
And Plaisir. Good to meet you, my friend. Yeah. Have a great night, brother. Okay. Of course. Cool. Au revoir. That's cool. Very, very high self-esteem person. So what I want to show there is she's a high self-esteem person. I'm just joking around with her. We're not like being serious as far as like, oh, I love you. She's playing and just being fun. But okay, so she's just being playful, right? It's a joke. It doesn't mean she's really in love with me or trying to marry me. It's a joke, but she has high self-esteem. And I like meeting people that have high self-esteem because they can take that like a genuine compliment. And she has that. She has a great soul. Okay, so guys, what time is it in the morning right now? 8 a.m. Where are we right now? The mansion. Okay, so right now what we're doing is the final parts of a free event that we ran this weekend. Did you guys have fun coming here? Fuck yeah! Were you mind blown by the amount of value that you guys got for free here this weekend? Yeah! Okay, a lot of fun. Did you guys enjoy going out for a little field trip the other night? Yeah! A lot of fun. Okay, so basically what we did here, and I'd like to invite you to it, is a completely free event. And what I do is because I like just getting everybody together and getting to meet you in person, is putting together a small group where we can actually meet up completely for free, go over how to make money, go over skills that will help you with your social results, and also to get you spiritually tapped in. Do all of you guys feel like you'll make a couple million extra bucks over the course of your life by attending this free event? What do you think? Yeah! Like you actually believe that? Yeah! Yeah. Did we show you guys some pretty potent stuff? Yeah! Okay, so did I give you the motherfucking sauce when I was here? Yeah! Did I hold anything back at all? Yeah! Yeah, right? So the point being, okay, we had a lot of fun here this weekend. I've got a free event coming up in Phoenix very, very soon. Then it's going to be San Diego. Can't wait to get down to San Diego. We're going to be in Boston, Washington, D.C., Orlando, Miami, Charlotte, Atlanta, Nashville, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland. We're going to be doing Salt Lake, Denver. We've got a bunch of them coming up, okay? You're in Chicago, Detroit. I love to travel. I love to free events. Like, I gotta be honest with you. You see the beard getting a little gray. I'm getting a little bit old. I'm not sure how long I can keep doing this, but I love meeting with people in person. This is a great hobby for me. We built a mastermind group. Do you guys feel like you built some lifelong friendships here this weekend? Yes! Awesome, okay? If you want to be part of this, I'd love to meet you. It's a completely free event. Click the link below. We're going to be working on how to make you some cash, building a mastermind, talking about communication and attraction, getting you spiritually tapped in, building a group, and I go all out on these. You can hear my voice is cooked. I go all out. I bring energy. Guys, I want to thank you guys for being here and what I want you to do. Do you guys recommend that they click the link below and join up on a free event? What do you guys think? Awesome. Okay, excited to meet you in person at the free event. See you soon. Say you see a girl you want to talk to. If all that you're thinking is, am I going to get rejected? I'm nervous. I need to get her, etc., etc. Let's look at the breakdowns there, okay? Let's look at the breakdowns there. A big thing, like as a woman, would you say that one of the most attractive things is if a guy can like feel where you're at and lead, but not overstep? Would that be a fair analysis?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't want to have to do all of it yourself.
I like when a guy steps in and approaches, talks, shows action.
Shows action, right? But you also don't want him to
Overdo it.
Yeah, he's being a bit receptive. You don't want him to like grab your head and go like right? Okay, so
there's a difference between overdoing it and to the right. Yeah.
So the head grab is not the move.
No.
Okay.
No.
Got it, guys? The head grab's not the move. Right? So the thing is that the challenge that a lot of women have is that the guys, especially when it's a girl who you really like, you get nervous, right? You really like her, so you get nervous, okay? What's that?
Overselling.
Yeah, you can oversell it too. So what happens is like you get nervous, so then you retreat into your mind and start thinking of how am I getting the validation, am I not? How am I being perceived? But ironically, the fact that you care too much makes it impossible to have the bandwidth to be able to feel where she is at and to be able to make, like, whether it's like a joke or teasing or a story or letting her talk and hearing what she has to say and having some exchange, it blocks you. It also shuts your voice down. Your voice won't project properly. It messes with your eye contact. It messes with leading the frame. It messes with everything. So you got to be at a point where, let me just show you an example of a healthy frame to come from when talking to someone you're attracted to, or when doing business, or when doing public speaking. So what you want to do at the core of generating attraction, public speaking, making sales, is the internal point of origin that you're coming from. So say the word internal point of origin. Okay, so the place of origin, everyone's will be a little bit different. Do you guys want me to share you mine, where I come from? Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna share mine, but you'd have your own way of putting it, okay? For me, it would look something like this. Here's what it looks like for me. I like to share energy with anyone and everyone. Okay? Say, even though it's my point of origin, maybe you might resonate, so I'll just get you to say it back. Say, I like to share energy. I like to share energy with anyone and everyone. With anyone and everyone. Little old lady. Little old lady. Random dude. Random dude. The person who sold me a movie ticket. The person who sold me a movie ticket. Waitress. Waitress. Uber driver. Uber driver. Any fellow human being. Any fellow human being. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're sharing energy freely. Then my next frame would be, if they're not receptive, I stop. Say that.
If they're not receptive, I stop.
Yeah, so if they're not vibing it, and you can tell that, like, so in other words, say the word, it's an offering. It's an offering. I'm not insisting. I'm not insisting. And I'm not taking. I'm not taking. Okay, so that's like the general frame, where it's like, share a good vibe, and then be out of your head, feel where they're at, and then if that's not resonating for them, then you just say the word, have a great night. Have a great just have a great night. You go, hey, have a great night. That's it. Or have a great day. Say, have a great day. Have a great day. That's it, right? So from there, you're sharing energy, and here's my next frame. I'm not going to overanalyze. I'm not going to overanalyze why they're not vibing me. Okay, so you could be aware if maybe you're a bit uncalibrated. You could maybe learn from a mistake that you made and be aware, but you're not gonna, like, say the word, I'm not gonna personalize it. I'm not gonna personalize. And I'm not gonna make them bad either. And I'm not gonna make them bad. And I'm giving them the space. And I'm giving them the space to be where they're at. To be where they're at. Okay, so that's like the general vibe, okay? So then from there, the next frame I'd have is, I care about myself. I care about myself. But I care about other people too. But I care about other people so too. As a result of that, because my awareness is on other people, say that. Because my awareness is on other people. I can feel, or I could be more likely to feel what they need. I can be more likely to feel what they need. Yeah, because you're not gonna be perfect, right? No one's like, you can make little, you read it wrong, but you're a lot more likely to, okay? So then as a result of that, say the word, that generates space. That generates space. Internally in me. To be funny. Spontaneous. Witty. Joke around. Know when to lead. Know when to push away. Know when to pull back. And I'd say knowing when to shift energy. Say that. Knowing when to shift energy. From vibing. To sale. To romantic. To even being a bit of a dick. Right? Sometimes people need that. Sometimes people need to be like, hey, come on. Like they need a little bit of like a little bit of a snappy boundary. So they're a snappy boundary. Snappy boundary. Yeah, that's normal. Okay, that's a normal thing, right? There's a time and a place for everything. So then what I'd say is, I have a plan. For how to take a good social interaction and deepen the connection. That includes a good invite and a good social media. So basically, my personal point of view is that every person should have some cool little project that they could invite somebody else to. So look in we're in the mid 2020s right now, right? In mid 2020s, this is not the 80s. Okay, the average person does not go for coffee with somebody that they just met. The way it works in this day and age is you have a social media profile, which you've curated. Say I have a social media profile. Which I've curated. So people can quickly learn about me. My second favorite thing about my social media is it helps to make people like me. But my first favorite thing about my social media is it also saves me time. Because if someone doesn't like what I do, I don't want to waste hours getting to know them. So the best part is actually the screen, guys. Like, that's the cool thing with social media. Someone could go look at it and go, what the fuck is this? Like, nah, we're good, right? And then that saves you from hours of wasting your time with someone that doesn't even resonate with what you're like. So then let's build on that. My frame is I want to be authentic, but also relatable. I want to be who I am, but I also want to build myself and relate in a calibrated way. Okay, so in other words, it's like when I get you up here doing public speaking, ideally what's happening is you're up here public speaking and you're using the tools that we're giving you, but it's still you. So, if you're in a room where they can't hear you at the back, don't tell me that being you is that the people in the back can't hear you. That's not you. That's just lazy. Right, well, it's just me. Like the real me, no one can hear me. Come on, stop. Like, that's not the real you, okay? But you also don't need to be like a fake persona where you're like, my name is Owen. And like, that's not even you, okay? So it's a balance between showing strength but vulnerability. Say strength, but vulnerability. Okay, so it's the best version of you. Say that. But the realest version of you. Okay, so it's a blend. So anyone who tells you just be straight vulnerable but without strength is really just messing you up, because then you just look like some weak person who can't handle their life. Like, you just can't handle your life. So you should handle your life. But if you're just strong, that's fake, which ironically makes you look what? Weak. I'm so strong. What's that make you look like? Weak. Compensating. You're weak. So it's a balance between the two. Okay? Now, if you look at what it is that I showed you here in like 15 minutes, okay? That 15 minutes of looking at your base point of origin, how much easier is that going to make social interaction for you? Way easier, okay? Like, so let's look at what a low spiritual evolution component would look like. I don't know who I am. I need the validation. I'm scared of what they're going to think. I have anxiety about meeting people. I'm going to overcompensate. I'm mad at them if they don't like me. I've got to manipulate them if they don't like me. I'm angry, etc. That's what that looks like. Okay? So that's living in a low spiritual evolution because everything is hard. And easier, do you guys see how if you had, and again, everyone will have their own point of origin. I gave you an example of mine, but everyone will have their own. Can you guys see how if you have your own, you kind of curate it over time and figure out what resonates with you, how much easier social interaction gets? Way easier. Can you guys also see that the way that I'm doing public speaking up here is based on that foundation that I just said? Yeah. Okay, so if my base level point of origin, my foundation, is what I just showed you, it's very easy for me to come up here and to public speak. It's very easy for me to walk up to someone who I'm into and talk to them, okay? By the way, whenever I go meet a girl, believe this or not, I know this will be hard to believe, I genuinely leave the space for her to be herself, and I have no outcome at all other than to give her a chance. That's it. No outcome at all other than to give her a chance. Like, you as a woman, you say like, yeah, I want to meet a guy, but it's not like when you want to meet a guy that you're trying to pull him back to give him a blowjob in the alley in most cases, right? Unless it's Chris Brown. But you know my point, right? Like, I'm kidding, but you know my point, right? Like, it's like what you're looking for from a guy is, I like that guy's initial vibe, and I'd like to give him the chance to talk to me more so that we can see what's there. And then if I like what we have and he likes what we have, I hope he leads it. But if either of us doesn't like what we have, I hope that he politely excuses himself and isn't weird about it. Would that be is that accurate, or is there any twist?
I resonate with that, yes.
Anything else you'd add, or that's mostly it, or anything else?
As of right now, no, but everything that you said is correct.
Got it. Okay, and if you think of anything, tell me, right? But like, imagine you're a girl, you want to meet a guy, but the problem is you meet a guy, and then just because you let him take you out for like a hamburger, now he wants to fuck, right? And it's like, I can get my own burger, dude. You see where I'm going with this, right? Like, I'm down to give you a shot. That doesn't mean that we fuck, okay? Like, you don't get to whip your cock out, blast my pussy full of cum because you bought me a ravioli bowl, okay? But I'm down to talk to you over some ravioli. You see what I'm saying? If you're a woman, is that roughly how you'd feel? Yeah. Or do you just want every guy to cock blast you that bought you a pasta? Okay?
On first dates, I just tell the guys, I'm like, hey, let's just like meet for drinks.
Sure.
So that they don't think like anything that I expect.
Yeah.
I'm like, just.
Yeah, but he bought you a drink. Shouldn't you have to like take him in the car and just start bobbing?
But what if she wants?
What's that?
What if she wants?
Then it happens. But that's the point, right? So if that's what she wants. But
why not?
but let me show you something. With a high-level woman, if you're not matching her frame, you're the lower value. So if you're in there like, I have these tinglies in my pee-pee and this nut thing I need to discharge, and that's how you feel, and you're like, you like this? And
I went out to dinner with this guy, and then after he's like, come, let's go to my place and make a drink. I was like, I know where this guy is going with. So then I'm like, no, it's fine. And he kept insisting and insisting. So I'm like, look, you gave me dinner. Thank you so much. I could have bought it myself. Like, I could care less. Like, I could care less. But the fact that, like, now that you gave me something, now you think that I owe you to come to your
but what
place.
did he buy you?
We just had dinner.
Yeah, what kind of dinner?
I don't even know. I don't
Like
care.
a chicken?
I don't know. I got a salad or something.
A fucking chicken and a salad? You couldn't just let him, you know?
No.
You couldn't just, you know?
Hey, that even turned me off more, honestly, to want to talk to him after.
But, because you're salads. Right, so you said, okay. So you,
No, but Owen, what's bad with guy initiating, like, let's go to my
nothing
place?
at all. Nothing at all.
Why did you lose the vibe?
Because she didn't want to.
Because he was like,
because she didn't want to. She didn't. There's no explanation needed. She either does or she doesn't.
No, I want to understand
There's
why.
no, you don't need to understand why, because here's the best part. There's nothing you need to change in yourself other than the initial point of orientation that you come from. If you're coming from a frame of, I'm not needing anything, I'm here to talk to different people, and I don't know if I'm sold on them, and they don't know if they're sold on me, and as adults, we can interact a little bit. Maybe we just leave it at that. Maybe we just leave it there. Like, great dinner, bye. Like, that was cool. Like, kind of like what Tyler Durden in Fight Club would call a single serving friend. Like, sometimes you had a good vibe for one dinner, but there's not enough there to go deeper. Now, for you, there might be, because you've got this thing in your nuts that wants to come out. Yeah. But she doesn't have that.
Girls
So
have that too.
they kind of do, but they don't need you. I hate to tell you, they've usually got a pipe man that takes good care of it in most cases, okay? So they've got a very attractive pipe man that takes care of it. It's gross, but it's the truth in most cases. So the point being is they don't need it. So from their point of view, you should have had that handled. You should have already had that handled with other people who like you, and that was taken care of. So you shouldn't, as soon as you need it from them, that means that there was nobody else who had it taken care of.
I'm talking about need. I'm talking about we have a nice date. Let's go.
But she may not feel that way. Because, no.
On a first date,
Yeah.
it's okay for me to go to a guy's house.
Well, that's what it is. Look,
All my girlfriends we fucking
look, regardless of that, okay, let's come off that. Here's the point.
She chose me.
Let me teach you something, okay? Yeah. Let me teach you something. So, whenever I'm up in life, okay, when I'm doing millions of views and I'm making millions of dollars and I'm doing the best parties, you know what's really cool about that? It just seems like everyone wants to be my friend. It's really cool. And it's sort of this weird thing But whenever I'm down, even a lot of my best friends don't want to be my friend. I wonder why that is. Okay? So in the same way, when a woman is super beautiful, it's amazing that all these guys that did dinner with her feel a connection. Right? Like, I feel a connection with you, the super hot girl.
The tiny bit.
Okay? But it's not really, okay? So typically, yeah, they want to fuck, right? So you have to understand, women are not dumb. I mean, they can be dumb, but they're not. They're aware of at least this. They know that if they're hot, that every guy thinks they have a connection, and they know that if they're not hot, that less guys will feel a connection, okay? So you guys gotta understand, my career has been up and down. I've had huge ups, mega famous, mega money, and you guys know my background, right? I've been mega canceled and huge downs. Do you guys know what happens to my male friend groups when I'm down? What do you think happens? Men do it too, it's not just women. You think women are the only ones that run away when you're down?
No, men do too.
No, the guys do too. Guys, I've had clients where they've been on programs like this, we're awake till 7 in the morning, like crying in each other's arms while transforming. Then like the Julian media incident will happen, and I'll read a post from them on Facebook like, I fucking met Owen, he's a piece of shit. I always knew he's a piece of shit. I'm like, we cried each other's arms at 9 in the morning. I'm like, I could have gone to bed at 2, right? So it's like, why do you tell, if you thought I was that, if you think I'm a bad guy, why didn't you tell me then? You know, because when you're on top, you have male hypergamy. Okay, men have it too. So basically, because she's a pretty girl, every guy is gonna be like, oh, I have a connection with you. I think this date went great. They'll all think that. That shows that they're low level. To be at a higher level, you've got to match frames, which means that you also have to let go of the outcome and just be friends. Now, there can be sexual tension that you are being a man. We're showing you communication here. So it's not a friendship zone like some little punk chump who's like, hi, can I get your book bag? Like, that's not the answer either. But there's a fine line between being aggressive to the point that it lowers your value versus being passive to the point that you're a bitch. And there's a spot in the middle of those two where you've just let go of the outcome and you're just seeing what's there. You're just checking out what's there. And you're not, say the word, not trying to force a vibe. Say that. Okay, now what that does ironically is it positions you on the same level. Say that. It positions me on the same level. So what winds up happening, a lot of women, because they come from total abundance and they're completely satisfied with like their level of popularity. Now a lot of that's because they're hot and they're their prime. But because of that, they tend to have the bandwidth to be aware of vibes. Okay, say the word, they have the bandwidth. They have the bandwidth to be aware of vibes. Now, because they have that bandwidth, they also have the bandwidth to become very aligned to their own natural energy. Say aligned to their own natural energy. And aligned to their own ecosystem of positive emotions. And aligned to their individuality without seeking approval. So oftentimes beautiful women, and women can be beautiful in many different ways, will live in this reality where because they're not in scarcity and in overcompensation, they're more attuned to vibes, they're more attuned to energy, they're not trying to force a vibe, they're not trying to discharge semen, and because their sexual needs are all met, to be honest with you, whether by a vibrator or a pipe man, so they don't need you. It's just, I know that makes you angry, it makes you never want to talk to them, and it pisses you off, but that's also because you're involuntarily celibate, so it just makes you angry, okay? So it just makes you, it's just jealousy, basically. But some of it's real too, I don't deny some of the reality of it, but it's a lot of it is just that you're just angry. Because you're not seeing Leo DiCaprio meeting a Victoria's Secret model and then being like, what's your body count, okay? He just has fun. So you're just mad you're not invited to the party, for the most part, right? So if like the same guy complaining, if he was invited to the party, would shut the fuck up and he'd be like, wait, I'm invited? And he'd be in the party in 2 seconds. So even though some of those issues have merit too, and I agree with that. But what I'm saying, because society's kind of unraveling, but what I'm getting, it's a larger societal problem, but what I'm getting at is this. When you come from a frame of everything's easy, I'm not making a big deal of things, I'm just talking to somebody to see where they're at too, you're now matching frames and you're now matching value. Okay? You're matching frames and you're matching value. How is that gonna manifest in the way that you interact with them? What's that gonna do? And the same goes in sales.
So we talk like about a date.
But I don't even like dates because that's still too much chasing. This is 2020s. That's not the 50s. It's a hangout.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
So I think if we
Or
match,
meeting someone out.
if we match the frame, it brings space to the girl to come and like initiate.
100%.
Watch you. Yeah.
Yeah, it also positions you at the same value as them. Okay? Yeah, it positions, look, if you've got a girlfriend and she has a male friend, and you're like, is he hitting on you? That girl is never gonna cheat on you with the guy who's hitting on her. If the guy's hitting on her, she will never have sex with him, ever. Who's gonna have sex with your girlfriend?
The quiet one.
Not quiet.
Not eating, like a friend.
You know who's gonna have sex with her? It's that DJ who just loves to play music. And he's really inviting her out as a friend. Like, he really is just playing at the club that night, thinks she's kind of cool, doesn't even know if he likes her or not, and just invite her out because it's just fun. But he wasn't making a big deal out of it. That's the guy where when you can't find her, you look under the DJ booth and you find something very shocking. Okay, like, right? That's who that's gonna happen with, okay? Your girl's gonna cheat on you with the guy, not the best friend who has a secret crush on her who's a beta male. Not that guy. But that alpha guy who's hella confident, hella popular, but doesn't even like her. That's the one who's gonna, like, or it's not even like needing anything from her. That's the one where she's gonna get obsessed with how to get his attention. And then you're monogamous with her, so she's your only supply of intimacy. He's non-monogamous, so he gets it from everywhere, he doesn't care. And because you're monogamous, you get needy. The neediness pushes her away because it positions her above you, and then she chases someone who's not needy.
Yeah.
Okay? So rather than being mad at that, why not adopt that same frame as a DJ? Which is like, I like, let's look at those guys that are super popular. Maybe they like to play music. Maybe they like to DJ. Maybe they do sports. Maybe it's a guy who surfs. Why do girls like guys that surf, play sports, DJ, play music? What are the acting? Energy. Rappers. What are the commonalities that are there as opposed to some like Bill Gates? Energy. Or like, Mark Cuban, who are like mega rich, but they're not popular.
They're flowing. Energy. Relax.
So what's the guy who plays the music? What's he doing?
Flow state.
He's flowing. So where's his energy connected to? Himself. What he's creating and giving, adding good vibes, having fun. Then when he does the song, what do the girls do? Does he go up to them and go, I'm horny? Pee-pee. Discharge my pee-pee, okay? So what is he doing? What's he doing?
Sharing.
Where's his energy and his validation coming from?
Himself.
And like the flow, what's channeling through him, his mission, engaging the crowd, giving good vibes. Also, to be good at music, he's out of his head. To be a good dancer, he's out of his head, right? So he's just, and also it's easy, right? That business guy, that entrepreneur guy, everything's a battle, everything's a war, everything's hard, everything's difficult, everything's stressful. But maybe when he makes his next million, then he can get a girl. Okay? So that's why the rich guy's a loser. Most rich guys don't do well socially. Then they come pay me. And I got to unwire that. I got to unwire the whole thing. I'll help them to keep making money. I'll help them even make more. I'll show them how to make even more money while unwiring the bad tendencies. I show them both.
Do they improve in the social game?
Massively. But it's a problem. And a lot of them have sex with prostitutes.
Yeah.
You know why they have sex with prostitutes? Because it meets their lifestyle. Right? It's like, you need to be here at 9 p.m. sharp. I need to leave at 9:15, right? And it's like, and here's your money, right? So so they made all that money just to have sex with a hooker. You could have done that as like a degenerate, but maybe they get an expensive hooker. But then again, you ever heard the expression, there's no $5,000 hooker, there's only $5,000 Johns, right? Like that same hooker probably charged another guy $100, charged him $5,000. He thinks he's got a $5,000 hooker. So powerful marketing lesson there. Powerful. It's probably my number one favorite marketing lesson of all time. Say this after me, there's no $5,000 hookers. There's only $5,000 Johns. Like, look, there's no $50,000 gold Rolex. There's only an idiot like me that bought it. Do you guys follow that? Yeah. Why do guys buy Rolex watches? Because I made the money. Now what do I do with it? Get a Rolex. And yet it's not even as good as the Apple Watch, right? There's no $50,000 watch. There's only a $50,000 sucker who had to put in the work and then justified it. Powerful marketing lesson when you're doing high ticket, okay? Powerful marketing lesson. In other words, say the word positioning. Positioning. Yes, positioning. So anyway, point being is that if you just come from a space that you're just having fun and just putting out energy, dating and socializing becomes very easy. And people chase. Because it flips the script to where you're the hot girl, right? But as a woman, the more that you lean into that, which a lot of women do anyway, the more that you lean into that, the more that you'll also instigate obsession. The more that you lead into that. Because now the guy is like, I really like her, I really like Charlotte, and she's just so cool, and she's always like doing, like she's not gonna say it like this, but in the back of his mind unconsciously, she's so cool, like she doesn't need me. So then he obsesses with how to get your attention away from your passions and into him. So it generates obsession. So what I'm showing you here is that's how you get a ring. It generates obsession because it becomes a challenge. So he goes, what else could I do to get her? Give her a ring. Like, what else could I do to get her? Give her a ring. Right? They get it. So then they'll pop the ring. No prenup in a lot of cases, specifically because they're in a loop of trying to get the approval, right? So, but women fall in the same loop on guys. They go in the same loop. Like, I've never dated anyone who wasn't obsessed. That I feel that pedestalization is very important, actually. I don't need it. I don't need to be pedestalized at all. I don't care. I think I'm a dork. Like, I literally think I'm a dork. But someone who you're with does need to be pedestalized. Look, if I'm gonna buy this watch, I have to think it's cool, right? If I'm gonna buy a diamond bracelet, I have to think it's cool. If I don't think it's cool, why would I buy it? So you do need to be pedestalized to some extent. How do you get pedestalized? How do you get pedestalized?
Positioning.
Being horny and needing to come? Does that get you pedestalized? How do you get pedestalized? I gotta come. Pedestalize me. Now. Right? I know you're laughing because you feel this way. I know you. Okay. He is that guy. He's like, that is how I feel. Me and him friends. Okay, so, like, we all feel that way, but we have to transcend it, right? So we can't just be ourselves. We have to build ourselves. So what are we building towards? We're basically using that base level foundation of total authenticity of who you are without your urges, pre-urges, pre-ego gratification needs, pre-physical gratification needs, purely spiritual. You're an open-minded person who believes in God's plan, who's gonna lead and participate and co-create, but you're not needing anything. So then what happens is what you'll find is when you do this and you just connect to the flow, here's the following things that happen. First of all, say it gets easier.
It gets easier.
And it gets better results.
And it gets better results.
Now, what is the way that what I'm saying would go wrong? I'd say this, too much passive. Say the word too much passive.
Too much passive.
It's just too freaking passive. Like you come to me, you're like, Owen, I did that thing where I'm just in a good frame and years go by and I'm broke and I have a girlfriend, like stuff like that, right? So it's a balance. It's a balance. So what you gotta do is you've got to still engage, you should go talk to every person who you wanna talk to, all of them. And you should put out good energy. And you should give them a chance to meet you, but without making a big deal of it. You should have a cool social media. You should have a cool party or invite. You should always have something to invite people to. You shouldn't make people have to sit there staring across the table who you just met. That's too much. Okay, this is not the 50s. So have something cool. Just always have something that you can say, here, come to this. So that it's not just about you. It's kind of a chance to bump into each other again and maybe go a little bit further. Then maybe you bump into each other again and go a little bit further. But don't be dependent on one person and all your eggs are just in this one basket and it has to be them. They don't want that either, okay? Like if you were to apply, look, what would be the best way for me to hire you if you were trying to get me to hire you or to partner up with you in business? What would be a good way to partner up with me in business if you're trying to do it? Would it be hitting me up over and over DMs asking for a job?
No.
It's not, right? What would be a good way to partner up with me in business?
Bring value.
I would say, I hate to say this, but have something cool on your social media. I know that sounds really ridiculous in LA, but if I met you for 2 minutes, and that's the only sampling I got, where am I gonna get the next sampling? We're in the 2020s, right? It would be in the future, be some VR thing. but now it's social media. So I'd look there. Then look, as a busy guy, am I really likely to grab a coffee with you when I just met you? No. It's not that likely, right? I'll do things spontaneous in the moment, but it's not that likely. So what would be a way to get me to come out and hang out?
Have an awesome event.
What's that?
Have an awesome event. Yeah.
Have something cool happening. All the friends that I've made who know who I am, it just invited me to something cool. 80% of the time, I'm not gonna show up because I'm busy. But where am I gonna see it? Where am I gonna see what you did? On the story. And I'm gonna go, that looked cool. And what's probably the main determining factor if I'm gonna hang out with you later or not? What's the number one? It's that you didn't need me there.
Is that what?
It's that you did not need me there. You didn't require me to be there. You clearly had fun with or without me there. It's clearly obvious that you were just being nice. That's it. You were just being nice. The party was happening with or without me. What that does is it takes you from a fan desperate to get a free training to a cool person inviting me to something cool. It flips the script on me. Okay? So in the same way in dating, are you the guy who's got a bunch of semen you need to discharge? Or are you the guy who clearly has a million other people that want you and literally we're just inviting them to something cool? And you're operating from their level and their frame, which is I provided an offering to talk a bit further. That's it. Now, this does not need to be this thing where you meet one person and protract it over a year. When you're out and you see somebody that you have a good vibe with, chat them. Have something you can invite them into and allow it to progress organically, naturally, and without force. Most people in a city like LA that you invite out will not come. They won't even see the message in many cases. But eventually they see the story and they go, that's what I was invited to? Shit, that guy's cool. Fuck, I should have said yes. They'll still flake another time. Why? Because it's a major city. There's too much going on. There's too much happening. Plus, everybody in big cities is paying too much rent. People can't pay their rent out here. Everybody's broke, right? Because the rent, like, just to get like a basic place out here is like 10 grand. So, you know, just to live in LA is like 30 grand a month. So everyone's come here, they've taken the risk, they're here, they kind of have to be a bit transactional. That's just how it is in bigger cities. People are a little bit more transactional. So you embrace that and you just have your own ecosystem going. If every day you meet 2 or 3 people who you invite into your world, 1 out of 3 might say yes to meet up more, but of those, you're not gonna like all of them. So as a result, you might bring 1 new person in your life per week. Out of that, you've got about 50 different people that are part of your newer part of your soul circle. Of those 50, maybe 20 become real friends. Of those, you're gonna have a combination of the following. Beautiful women that you're friends with and not having sex with or dating. What are the advantages of them?
Other girls. They have friends.
Well, selfishly, A, they actually provide real friendship and good energy, so it kind of pumps you up. B, it gets you used to being around beautiful women, so it's not a big deal. So it neutralizes that weird feeling that you have being around girls like that, so it's not weird. But also, a genuine female friend who's high level makes you look so good to all the other girls that would like you. You looking amazing. Like, that's who his friends are? Holy shit.
Versus I see a guy with a bunch of freaking losers, and yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Just a bunch of dudes that just want to get one off.
Oh
They just
yeah.
wanna pop. Maybe with you. Right? Isn't that valuable to you? Does that help your life? Finally, your life's complete. So, right? So it's not adding anything, right? Like a bunch of people that just want to meet a YouTube guy, what does that add to me? It doesn't add anything. Particularly when you learn that if they don't get what they want, they hate you later. So you learn really quick, it's just transactional anyway. So it doesn't even do anything, it's just a waste of time. So instead, you want to always be showing that you are in abundance all the time. So then what you do is you have great female friends who A, make you look good to the women that you would date, B, that provide you good energy and just a good vibe so that you're around attractive women, and C, that you can introduce to your guy friends. So if you're my friend and you want to get married, it's done. It's literally done. If I trust you and I know you, you could have a girl to have kids with tomorrow. You'd have it by the end of the week. I'd pick 5 of my coolest female friends, I'd make the introduction, and you'd have it at the end of the week. But I'd have to know you. Why would the girls that I would set up with you trust me?
Because you vet the guys.
Because the guys are very vetted, and I'm an insanely high-level judge of character. So then what'll happen is I'll say this, and no offense to anybody, but it's always the weirdest guy in the room who I would never vouch for. He's like, can you do that for me? I'm ready. I don't want to have to learn social skills. Just handle it for me. Let's get this handled. What, I got to pay you, right? I'm not doing that. So, right? They want to just pluck the fruit. They don't want they want to plant the seed. Okay? So, in other words, you've got that. Then guy friends, you have basically good advice in business, good vibes, and allies. Gay friends are also important. What do gay friends have?
A lot of female friends.
All the girls. You got to get the girly cons with the gays. So you got to have the gay friends. So you've got gay friends who help you with fashion, help you with girls, and give you advice and give you insights. You've got female friends who give you good vibes, give you insight, who you'll introduce to people, and some of whom you'll date. And then you also have girls who you actually have sex with casually, and also girls who you get in a relationship with. Now, when you say casually, some women only want to hook up casually. They're not looking for a boyfriend. So that's a win-win. There's no such, a guy doesn't have to be a player to have a casual hookup. Half of women or more don't even want a boyfriend, right? So you don't need to take a girl who wants a boyfriend, lie to her, and say you're gonna be her boyfriend. Just, if you want to hook up, then just hook up with that enormous population of women that are not looking for a boyfriend. And then when you have a girl who's looking for a boyfriend, and if you want a relationship, then you can maybe pursue that with her, and not even pursue with her, but just be open to with her. But the main word is say the word, I'm open. Okay, so I'm open. What that means is that I have no outcome of this. I'm gonna go and initiate a conversation. I'm gonna chat and be fun. I'm gonna be the best version of myself. But then from there, I'm open to hang out again, but I'm not expecting anything out of it. I don't care. Now, how do you meet up and not expect anything out of it? Repeat this after me. Invite them to something, that I'd be doing anyway. Invite them to something, they could leave without friction. So they can kind of, it's almost like as if I want you to buy a goldfish at the pet store. And I'm like, you can come, you can look at the fish, and you can leave. You ever think about buying a shirt and you almost bought it, but the salesman was too pushy, and then you want to go try on the shirt again, but you know that as soon as you go in, they're going to try to make you buy it. So then you go by the store and you look and you're like, is that salesman? I want that shirt, but I don't know if that salesman's there, I'm not going back in. So you leave it very open. What does it do when the salesman wants you to buy the shirt too much? It devalues it. If you buy a watch, you walk in with the money, you can't even buy it. You get put on a list. This is real, by the way. You want to get the best Ferrari? You get put on a list. You come with the money, you try to buy the best Ferrari, you're not even allowed to buy the Ferrari. You get put on a list. Eventually, they make what's called, say the word, an allocation. Say that. An allocation. So an allocation, you'd think that means you get it for free, right? No, allocation just means you're allowed to pay. That's it. Okay? Then later, if you buy that, you might, if you're lucky, get an allocation for a better Ferrari. To get the best Ferraris, you got to buy like 10 Ferraris. To get the best watches, you've got to buy like 10 watches. Or you go in the gray market and get it. But, so why is it that Rolex or Patek Philippe or AP are not just going to give you a watch?
To maintain the value.
Because that's what creates the value, is the scarcity. You don't just get to get it. That has to be you in your social life. They don't just get to get you. Okay? What that does is it raises you from an average chump to a ultra elite level person. Ultra elite, ultra hard to get attention from, ultra high value, okay? For example, to get my attention on a 3-day one-on-one is 6 figures. So people pay me the net average of 2 full year salaries in the US to hang out with me for 3 days. That is awareness of your value. An ugly guy can date the highest level person if he's aware of his value. Without awareness of his value and the way he's coming across, he probably could only date 2 points lower than him, not even his level. So a guy that's a 5 could date a 3 without awareness of dynamics. With awareness of dynamics, he could be with a 10. It's just the awareness of dynamics in the way that you're framing yourself. But look at the way women frame themselves. Women are masters of being aware of where their value is and their positioning. Guys are just horny. Okay? But that positioning is not just that they have to get to know you. It is the way that the non-neediness frees up mental bandwidth. Say non-neediness, and abundance, liberates mental bandwidth. And what that does is it allows you to focus on who you actually are. It allows you to focus on who you are, and it allows you to focus on who you'd want to meet. If you're not free of neediness, you don't even know who you want to meet. And they know that. So it makes your attention not exciting or validating. Okay? It makes your attention not exciting or validating because they knew that anybody could get it. Okay? So what happens is, pay attention. You paying attention? Once that bandwidth gets freed up, your natural personality begins to build and bloom. Because if all you're doing is thinking about what you want and what you don't have, it's a contracted reality. Say contracted reality. It's very contract. It's very like, and that's why guys turn women off. Because they have this derpy look of like being in their head. You can see that they're fucking spaced out, stuck in their fucking head. Like, it's like this wall of fucking logic that's just stuck in their head. And they're just like, it's like they're just so trapped in their mind, they can't vibe. And then they're trying to force a vibe. And they believe that sex would give them what they need. So ironically, if they got sex from that standpoint, it would hurt them. It actually wouldn't be healthy for them. It's like if someone's not grounded in their own spirituality, getting money doesn't help anything. It just fucks them up. It messes them up. So it's like being a rich kid who just got it too easy, right? So you have to actually get out of your mind and out of the need and come from total abundance. And what that does is the way that it manifests that when you go out, you'll naturally just go talk to people without any fear, and you'll naturally be able to talk and talk easily. But then when it ends, you'll be the one that leaves. You'll be like, this is cool. Like, and you're not even like saying that they're bad in any way, shape, or form, unless they actually are bad, I guess, rarely. Rather, what happens is that you go, oh, that kind of went as far as it was meant to, and then it wrapped up. Also, when you have a breakup, you're not going to take it as hard because you're not going to be in scarcity. Like a lot of guys are in scarcity and they're like, oh, my girlfriend dumped me, so I'm not getting laid right now. Oh, I'm sad, right? Whereas when you're in abundance, you'll kind of feel like when it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what you'll realize is like 2 years ago when I met this person, we were both in a position where it made sense. We both grew through this experience, whether that was even from a bit of arguments or whether that was from great moments, or a mix of both. We had a connection at that time, we grew through it, but then that has ended. It's no longer a vibe. It's no longer, there's like who I'm meant to become and who they're meant to become is not being served by this being intertwined right now. So I'm gonna allow them to be free and to do their thing. Not even allow them, it's just what's happening, right? It's not, you're not a slave master. But like you're allowing it emotionally, mentally for yourself, and you don't grieve it, okay? And then when you think about your exes, you love them, you're not mad at them, and you see that you grew through that experience. Ironically, when you do that, you know what happens?
They come back.
They all come back. 100% come back. Because yeah, unless they meet some other guy at like ultra level. Because what happens is, you're so natural with that, it's so natural that they know that you're not taking. So they feel comfortable to be friends later. But what happens is when you come from that frame, you're only getting better. So if they like this version of you and you go up to here, they're gonna really like this version of you. So you provide a bit of space to breathe, let it breathe, let whatever frustration calm down and heal. You see them again in a couple years. I mean, every single ex that I've had, I could date again if I'm just in their presence because I healed, because I moved on. But the ones where you didn't heal or move on, you could never get again. They'll by instinct not like you. That same vibe with an ex should be used as a template for somebody who you're just meeting. You're just allowing it to be where it's meant to be. Again, though, where's the area that this could be misinterpreted when I talk about a more non-resistant philosophy? How could this be misinterpreted? I already said it. What would it be? Passive. Say it louder. Passivity. Say it too much again. Passivity. Yeah, too much passivity, right? So it becomes, say the word spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing. So notice that what I'm saying is approach and chat with everyone, talk with everyone, and invite them out. So I'm not saying be passive at all. This is a 10, say the word 10 out of 10 proactive, 10 out of 10 release. 10 out of 10 release. Okay, so it's this weird combination of high intent, but high freedom from outcome. It's like you chat everybody, you joke around, you have fun, and because there's no pressure, you have no anxiety to go say hi. There's no anxiety, none. You're not trying to make it be anything. And then as soon as that doesn't go anywhere, say that you're out mingling, you just mingle with the next person. And you kind of feel out where it's meant to go. When you do this, you will meet the right person, the right one. Someone you have chemistry with, somebody who there's growth potential with, or maybe someone who has a great potential for a one-night experience. And they want that too. But that'll be mutual. That'll be consensual mutual. So it's this thing where you're just a cool person. You have figured out your own, remember I said your own inner point of orientation? Say that, inner point of orientation. Inner point of orientation. So you've come into alignment with abundance. You've come into alignment with, say the word abundance. Abundance. Say the word meeting your own needs. Meeting your own needs. And say the word cup runneth over. So in other words, because you've met your own needs energetically, happiness-wise, spiritually, physically, that's all met, even sexually. Because by the way, I always say to guys, make sure that you're dating actively so your sexual needs are met. But also, and this is my most controversial one I always say, be really good at jerking off. Okay? Or be really good at not jerking off and being okay with it. But whatever the case, because I'm a big fan. Look, if you can jerk off and get as much out of it as having sex, I think that's a win. That's like the base, that's like the foundation of your harem. So, okay? So that's the beginning of your rotation. So, like, if you know that you could go home and jerk off and now it feels good as sex with a condom, then you're not needing anything. So you should be okay with that. Or be okay with not jerking off and just being celibate. So I actually believe that celibacy is a big, powerful frame to come from for guys, and I regularly do celibacy. My whole career. 6 months celibate, a year celibate.
Really? No,
absolutely.
No jerking off.
No, I jerk off. Yeah, but for some guys they would do no fap. Look, I've tried no fap, and all that happens is I get blue balls. Okay, and then when I eventually jerk off, it comes out like a bunch of pudding. So I don't know where this got. I think it's bad for your prostate not to jerk off personally. Like, the cum's all dying. Flow is the energy of life, boys. So I'm not, like, I don't know. A lot of my friends love no fap. I could bring some alternate opinions up here, okay? But like, to me, I see all these videos where these guys go pre-no fap, and they have a shaved face. They go after no fap, they have a beard. Like, what a random clickbait that is. And then they're like, after I went no fap, I made millions, and I fucking I got all these hoes, and like, I'm like, really? Like, I don't jerk off, I just get blue balls. I don't jerk off, I just get pudding when I eventually come. And then I jerk off and it hurts. When I come, it hurts. I'm like, ow. I'm like, oh, ow. Oh, it's 2 weeks of cum. Pudding. Ah. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. But a lot of my friends are into it. I'll bring up some alternate opinions, because some people don't. But look, regardless of your position on the no fap thing, okay, because everyone has their own take, what I would say, because it affects everyone differently, like some of my friends helps them a lot, what I would say is, be okay on your own. That's the main thing I'm saying. Like, don't be so, like, be at peace with or without somebody there. But that's not just sexually. That's, say the word sexually, emotionally, and validation-wise. AKA, say the word egoically. So your ego is okay with or without, and your energy is good with or without. Now you're on an equal playing field. Okay? You're matching frames. And then what'll happen is, like, you should be enough in abundance that you can see when a short-term conversation has run its course, when a medium-term conversation has run its course, and when a long-term conversation has run its course. And you'll know because you can almost feel the expansion happening as you interact, right? You're like, oh, this conversation is helping them. This conversation is helping me. This energy is actually enhancing their energy. Their energy is enhancing mine. You'll see it. And then what will happen is you will actually care less about looks in dating. You will actually date women that are less physically attractive, but you'll also date 10s. That's what you're gonna see. Because the looks thing will be a bit more arbitrary. I know this is like the part that you don't like in the speech, I get it. But the looks thing will be more arbitrary where some of your best sex will be with a girl who's like, maybe your friends are not blown away, but the sex is crazy and you become best friends. And then also, because there's no ceiling, because it's more energetic, you'll also date a Victoria's Secret model. And then you'll realize that your best sex was with the troll. And that'll actually happen. There'll be a troll who you have sex with for like 8 years. And then there'll be a Victoria's Secret model who you brought over 3 times and you're over it. Right? Because looks doesn't matter for girls and guys when they're more energetically connected. Okay, a lot of it is energy. It's the truth. I once met a girl that was so fucking fat, it literally looked like a giant pig in a woman's body. And we didn't fuck, but I jerked off to her like 20 times. Okay? I started looking up fat girl porn to see if I could find someone who looked like her. And I wish we would have. Okay? Because the energy was right. You know? She was ultra feminine. You know why she lost me, actually? Can I tell you the truth? I was super gonna do it. And then she goes, a guy inside gave me a line of Coke. And I'm like, I'm not gonna fuck her a line of Coke, so I left. But if she wouldn't have done the Coke, she could be here in this room right now. So the point being is this, okay? You'll be more attracted to energy, and the general vibe of energy, I know it's very energy, very LA, right? Very West Coast, but you'll be more into energy, but you'll also elicit them to be more into energy, and as a result, you'll be more open to different types of people, older people, younger people, everything, as long as of age, right? But what'll happen is everyone is open, so as a result, you'll wind up dating literally you'll wind up dating girls that are being paid $20 million a year because of their appearance, and you'll date average girls, and you'll like them the same. That's kind of my experience with doing this. One of my favorite sexual partners was 51, and I still jerk off to her. And man, the sex was crazy, dude. In fucking sane, okay? But she could never feel confident that I want to keep seeing her. So she was always sketch out, and we've been together twice. That girl was a pretty famous girl when she's younger, older now, but still really nice and toned, but the sex was just insane, okay? And I've also been with girls where if I brought them in here, you guys would be dapping me up, holy shit, dapping me, dude, that's crazy, and I'm like, right? Or both, or girls that are super hot in both. But then you also become that to that other girl who's super hot. You also become that for her. You become her, bridge troll guy that lays the pipe. You become that for her. That's what I am. That's what I am. So I don't discriminate. Okay? How could I? Right? So what I'm saying is it just, but what'll happen is you'll go out and you'll have a conversation with someone who you're not meant to talk to more, and you won't mind that it ended. You'll walk away from that conversation, even if they're fuck off, your brain will be well, they're probably in a negative state. They are informing me that they're in a negative state. We're not an energetic match to talk, and that's okay. So it won't bother you. And then what'll also happen is you'll meet people of all types, and you'll just vibe it out. And some of them you'll have a 7-minute conversation with, and you'll leave very refreshed, but you didn't try to force a vibe. So because you didn't try to force a vibe, both of you leave uplifted. It's when you stick in too long, and you're and like that, or they're doing that, and then someone's needing something out of it, that it turns toxic or deranged, okay? So what you're doing when you're out is you're always moving into a flow state, and you're not, okay, say this word, put the creator before the creation. So you're just out in this kind of a flow, engaging with everybody, and allowing it to go where it's gonna go. Now, again, this can be misinterpreted as too passive. It could also be abdication of learning social skills. So this is under the assumption that you know basic foundations of social skills. If you don't have social skills and everyone rejects you because you don't know any social skills, then that's not because it wasn't meant to be, that's you lacking social skills. So it's both, okay? But this is also a social skill. But you've got to understand, but we've been working on social skills all weekend, so you guys know the gist of social skills, right? But once you have the general gist of it, then what you do is you have a low-key thing to invite them to, right? Like something that you could do for fun, something that say the word, something I'd be doing anyway.
Something I can do anyway.
Something they can leave.
Something they can leave.
Without worrying about offending me.
Without worrying about offending.
Without friction. Without even telling me.
Without even telling me.
Yeah, like they just leave, and then later you just talk on stories later. You're like, oh hey, that was cool, thanks. Maybe I'll come next time. Your pipeline of meeting new people will then include guys who you're networking with. It'll include people who might help you do parties. It'll include girls that you're friends with. Like, I should start bringing in more of my female friends to these events. I actually do, but I think I should bring them in more often just to describe what their friendship with me is like. And I'll have female friends that are gorgeous. And then, you know what I get worried sometimes to bring them in, because you know what students always do? They always ask this, they go, how come he doesn't want to fuck you? They do, this is what they do. They go, and how come you don't want to fuck Owen? Right? And it's like, what does that center them as looking like when they talk like that? They're always curious. They're like, she's hot, what's the problem? She's hot, what's the problem? What are they not seeing? They're not connected to flow. So they're not energetically sensitive. So to them, everyone is someone they want. But because everyone's someone they want, they get nothing. Like they couldn't date her either. They get nothing. Because they're coming from a lower value frame. It's a low value frame, okay? Really high level men are friends with models. They're friends with actresses. They're also friends with little old ladies. They're friends with gay dudes. They're friends with gay girls. They're friends with pets. They maybe have a pet, okay? They're not trying to fuck the pet. They just like the pet, okay? So you'd have a friend who's a supermodel for the same reason that you might love your dog. It's good energy, okay? So what you're doing is you're building good energy. How does this look when you're talking? Here's what it looks like, okay? If you actually were to monitor all your social interactions, here's what you would observe. You have your frame and your energy. Say the word, your frame, your energy.
Your energy.
You assert your frame, you share your energy.
You share your energy.
They experience your frame and energy.
They experience your frame.
If they like what they feel, and resonate, they stay. And when they've had enough, they leave. So to be really, really good socially, what you want to do is you want to really curate your energy at a very high level. You curate the crap out. You get it really curated. So this, as a side point, sort of side quest here, I grew up suicidally depressed, and this is actually what fixed my crazy depression. Not making a medical claim here. I also got into eating a little healthier and vitamin supplementation and get a little more sun and probiotics, okay? Sauna, and cold plunge. But what I'm saying is one of the things that helped was that to be better socially, you have to be the opposite of depressed. You have to be the opposite of negative. You have to be the opposite of a taker. You have to receive, but of a taker, of a little goblin, like the precious, like in Lord of the Rings. So funny enough, if you want to get better socially, you'll notice that when you're negative, it doesn't go very well. And then what happens, you go home, you're like, man, why didn't that go well? I'm too negative. And then that kind of forces you to follow the yellow brick road to figure out why you're negative. And it forces you to change your perspectives on life. And it forces you to change how you self-state pump. And it forces you to change your ecosystem of positive emotions. This is really the process. Ironically, trying to get better socially often begins from a place of emptiness and wanting someone to fill your cup. Trying it, realizing it doesn't work at all, failing, and then going, well, what would work? You know, maybe you go online and you see some kind of pickup line, right? And you're like, well, I want to take, right? I want something, I want validation. And then it doesn't work. Like you tried and none of it works. But you're like, well, shit, now I'm this far down the rabbit hole. What does work? Like, what does fucking work then, right? What's going to work? And you realize it's in your energy. So then what you realize is, where does my energy come from? And your energy, first of all, so try to follow this, comes from your base foundation. Say that. Base foundation. So that means your beliefs. And it comes from your point of orientation. So if your beliefs are like, I'm a cool person, I like other people, and if your beliefs are, I'm abundant, I don't need anything from anybody, but I like to share, and I like synergy, I don't need it, but I like it. If your beliefs are, I'm evaluating them as much as they're evaluating me, and I like everybody, but I understand there's a beginning, middle, and end for each person, and that's different timelines. For some people, it could be till you die, you know, you and your wife die holding hands when you're 90 or 200 with medical extension, right? Or it could be you date for a year, or it could be you date for a day, but you let it be there, right? Your base foundation, your base point of orientation is giving based, but also able to receive too, in a healthy way. If that's your base foundation, how much happier are you gonna be?
So much happier.
Instead of needing something, right? Because you're already, now from there, self-state pump is things like, repeat this after me, music, movies, nature, humor, hobbies, friends, passion, purpose. Okay, so you have like your base foundation, which is, that's like your rock. For a lot of people, that could be Christianity, could be their spiritual faith of any kind, but that's like their foundation. Like it says in the Sermon on the Mount, build your house upon the rock, paraphrase, right? Build your house upon the rock. So you've got that foundation. That's your like bottom level foundation. On top of that foundation is like a funny accent you do that makes you laugh. A funny body movement that you do that makes you laugh. A joke that you do that lightens the mood. A perspective that you have that makes things funny. Anybody here remember I did a video like 15 years ago where I talked about how I was in Nepali Coast camping, and then my air mattress ran out of air, and then I talked like I was Cartman, and I went, oh no, like that. That was when I was teaching myself, like the old me, if I would have been out camping and my air mattress popped, I'd have been so pissed. The new me, what I try to become, was I talk like Cartman, and then that makes it funny. Okay, Tony Robbins talks about this. He says, Tony Robbins says, you can be like, I'm fucking pissed off. Or you can say, I'm peeved. And if just the way you talk to yourself is I'm peeved, you'll laugh. So that's your, say the word active state control. Active state. So actually it's what I taught you this weekend. 1,000 out of 10 if a social interaction doesn't go well. Who the fuck would have the balls to do that and find something funny about it, right? So you have your base foundation, which is like your beliefs about yourself, spiritual foundation, and the underlying larger frame of who you are and where you come from. That's your base. Then you have how you self-state pump. And then you have on top of all that, your ecosystem. So what's your ecosystem? Maybe you have a party that you like to do. Maybe you have a group of friends. Maybe you have hobbies. Maybe you have things that make your life complete. But you filled your cup, not just meditating, right? Meditation's the foundation. But should that be, like, you know how in spiritual growth and Eastern philosophy, say Vipassana, things like that, they really put a big focus on the foundation. That's very powerful. But does that mean that that's the only thing for your emotions? It could be if you're really dialed in with that, and that's kind of like your life's purpose is like, my life's purpose is as a spiritual teacher, I'm just gonna teach the foundation because I want that to be my gift. If that's your thing, like say you're Eckhart Tolle, I don't think Eckhart Tolle needs a lot. I actually think Eckhart Tolle is perfect. He's literally perfect. I'm a pretty big Eckhart Tolle fanboy though. Okay, you guys you like him that much? And I'm like, I do. Fuck yeah, I do. Okay, I love Eckhart. Right? So Jesus or Eckhart or any of these guys are perfect the way they are, right? But if you're not Eckhart Tolle, and that's not your life's mission to just sit on a park bench and go on Oprah, okay? If that's not you, then what I'd recommend is maybe go do Vipassana, do meditation, have that foundation, the rock, but then also, what's above that? What's above that?
Ecosystem.
That's the next one. What's above that?
Active state control.
Say the word active state control.
Active state control.
Okay, so what's the foundation? We have spiritual foundation, being present, like what they teach in meditation. What else is the foundation? Beliefs. What else? Passions. The point of origin. Say point of origin. Point of origin. Like basically like I am a value-giving person. It's your point of origin, okay?
RAS.
It's massive.
RAS.
RAS to me is your active state control. It's what are you actively choosing to focus on? RAS is reticular activation system, what you focus on versus what you screen out. So the foundation is just I'm present and who I am, how I self-identify. Above that is basically how you entertain yourself and your RAS. So when you're talking to a girl, for example, she's actually sampling your RAS. This is real, by the way. This is like the realest shit I said this whole seminar, okay? She's basically knows that when she's with you, if you're her man, whether a night or a lifetime, that she's entering into your reality tunnel. So she's seeing, what she's feeling from you is, how does it feel to be around this guy? And what kind of frames of reality is he dragging me into? So she's feeling that. So if everything is really peaceful and happy and good energy, and then she's also feeling that your perspective of life is fucking badass, and that you've got funny little jokes, funny little expressions, funny little movements, and funny ways of seeing the world, in a weird way to look at it, that way that you see the world is actually an immune system. In the same way that you have white blood cells for your body, that humorous way that you see the world is your psychological immune health. It's actually your immune health for your brain. And she's feeling that. And guys are feeling that you're doing business with. This is this is like spot on stuff, okay? So it's actually like, in the way that kissing would be they get the saliva or pheromones, that's like the immune system. They can also see your mental, spiritual, psychological immune system by the way that your RAS is, right? Like, could you come up here to the front here? I'm gonna borrow you for a sec. Just come up here for a sec. So I'm gonna like, this is me like, just sort of teaching you some stuff and just like bluntly. But if you, stand right here. So if you look at him, can you guys see in his eyes that he does have some pain and trauma? Yeah. Do you feel that a bit or no?
Oh, I feel super tired.
Yeah, okay. But even when you weren't tired this weekend, I could see some like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, some heavy energy,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
So that heavy energy, this guy is a lot better looking than me. I look like a combination of Santa Claus and a Lucky Charm. This guy is actually a pretty classically good looking guy. Okay, to a LOOKSMAXer, he's like, his Maximus Magillus is like off, you know, but to a normal person, it's not a crazy person, he's a good looking guy, right? Like a classic good looking guy. But the thing is, that's good, but if you see in his eyes he's a bit tired, they'll feel that congests his free flow, and it makes it harder for him to project his voice, and it makes it harder for him to free associate. Just out of curiosity, because you've been learning, try projecting your voice right now. Okay, so do you guys see how he does that thing that I always say where they go, like, do you see how he does that? That's, say the word stuck energy.
Stuck energy.
Okay, have a seat, okay. All right, so give him a hand for me picking on him. Okay, so, but he has some stuck energy, right? So that's why I say that looks don't matter as much as guys think, because if you have the very stuck energy, that really can hold you back even when you're a classically handsome guy. So you want to have very unstuck energy, okay? So then what happens is that they're feeling how humorous you are and how you see the world. And then what they do is they do something called a shit test. They'll be like, well, you're a jerk. And then do you go, I'm not a fucking jerk. I'm a fucking person. I do charity. What are you, bitch? Right? Like that shows that you're mentally unstable, okay? So they're gonna, just the same way that you might press on a chair to see if it's stable, they're pressing on you not because they hate you, but they're trying to get a sense of your psychological immune system. Sometimes they shit test really hard. And if you view everything as a joke and nothing is serious at all, your value explodes to the roof. So whenever you see a shit test, congruence test, that's the best thing that can happen because they're seeing what it is that you're gonna do, okay? So your job when they do that is to be unattached, not make a big deal of it, and say the word stay with flow.
Stay with flow.
So weirdly, when you stay with flow, that witty response comes out. But when you don't stay with flow and you're attaching to them for your positive emotions, what's happening is you're getting all this like sustenance from them because you're needy. Then they pull it away or test you, and because you were like you were kind of like in the emotional hot tub, like, oh, this feels good, I like this. And then they go, well, guess what? Here's some cold water and some battery acid. And you're like, ah, like that, okay? And then you break. Well, that's natural, but if you were really strong, you would have never been, now this will sound bad, but it's actually good. You weren't actually getting any validation from them in the first place. You were just outflow. That's the key to it. That's how you pass a congruence test. Now, why don't we like that?
Because it has to come.
Because we want the good energy, right? We're like, I like it. Have you ever had it where, try to follow this, someone's into you, you're getting good energy, but then they have to go to the bathroom and it fucks up your whole vibe. And then when they come back and your vibe's fucked up, they lose interest. That's the test. See that? The only way to pass that test is when they go to the bathroom, you go, cool, just start talking to other people and enjoying your night. Now, what you'll say to me is, well, what if you don't bump into them again? That's the point.
Zero attachment.
That's the point. No attachment, and you're just talking with everybody. And if it's God's plan, it's God's plan. If you talk again, you talk again. If you don't, you don't. Or if they say I got to go to the bathroom, just straight Instagrams real quick. Like that's maybe a smarter move, right? But the point is like you're not attached to it at all. Even if you're in a relationship and you get dumped and you go, you know what? I really believe that you're the spiritual, emotional leader of this relationship, and I've always trusted your instincts. And if your instincts right now is saying that our best like path forward is for us to be still love each other but separate, I completely respect it. I just want to ask you if you're sure. Are you sure? And they're like, yes, I'm sure. You know, I've always trusted you, baby. I've always loved you. I've always trusted you. And if that's what you feel is the best for us, I don't see it. Like, I love you so much. But if you feel that that's what's best for us, I'm going to take your lead because you've always been the spiritual, emotional leader of this relationship. What do you think happens when you say that?
Voodoo.
Want to get with
Flips.
Oh, yeah. You're about to have the best sex of your life. So, okay, or they leave for like a week and then they come back, okay? But the point is, and it just completely flips it. My buddy Mike, what's that?
So you actually said to her, you were the spiritual leader of the...
Yeah, I completely trust you. I love you and I trust you. It like, you have access to intuition that I don't because you're a woman, and I trust you. My buddy Mike, his wife divorced him, okay? And for 6 months, she wouldn't even look at him. I said, you need to listen to me. Go outside and tell her, and I basically just said the script that I said here. She literally started to cry. Okay, no, I'll tell you the whole story. I tell him to do it, okay? He calls me up, he goes, dude, that was the craziest shit. He couldn't even make any sense. He goes, that was fucking crazy. That was fucking crazy. You're like a fucking voodoo master. You're like a fucking magician. You're fucking, and he couldn't even talk. He's like, you're a magician. You're a fucking magician. Like he just couldn't stop saying that, right? I go, what happened? He goes, that's fucking crazy. You're a fucking magician. He goes, I'm like, stop, slow down. Tell me what happened. He goes, she wouldn't even look at me for 6 months. She looked at me like she hates me. She fucking hates me. She wouldn't look at me. I said, what happened? He goes, I said it, and I told her the thing you said to say, and she looked at me, and she cried, and she said, do you mean it? Do you mean it? And I said, yes. And then our lips went right up to each other, and we were gonna kiss and reconcile. And I said, and she hadn't talked to me in half a year. And I said, so what'd you do? He's like, well, I mean, she's my wife. I can't lie, so I told her, no, I don't mean it. I hate this. Like, Owen told me to say it. And I go, Mike, what the fuck? And he goes, I can't lie to my wife. And I go, what'd she do? He goes, well, she went to like a blind satanic rage and she drove off. But the point that it taught me was that what you teach works and I can do it and I'm gonna have a better future. So he's happy, right? So I then coached him to become super famous millionaire. I coached him to become a super famous millionaire. He went on Joe Rogan twice in a month. Super famous millionaire, mega famous, changed policy in the country. And then she actually now is like super jealous all the time and tries to come back and he has a better girlfriend. So the point is like it did work in the long run. So it did work. So anyway, but what I'm getting at here is that it's that non-attachment that makes you attractive, okay? So look, let's go back to there. So we have the foundation, the base level point of origin. We have how you self-say pump. What's above it?
Ecosystem.
Say it, guys.
Ecosystem.
Okay, so in other words, why do I say go celibate sometimes?
Preserve your ecosystem.
It's to test the ecosystem. Okay, you gotta test the ecosystem. Have you ever had it where you went out and you're talking to people and it's going so good and then the next night sucks?
Yeah.
Here's what happens. Because you do so well, you begin to take your flow state and anchor it onto doing well socially. Then you go out the next night on a high because you did so well socially the day before, but it was ego. It was an ego high, not a spiritual high. Then you go out and now your ego needs food of a good reaction. It's like a subtle shellac. It's barely noticeable, but they feel it. And what happens, it becomes a take. So as soon as there's any ego investment at all, it's a take. Say any ego investment?
Any ego investment
equals a take.
It's a take.
And blocks the flow.
And blocks the flow.
So you have no ego investment at all. it blocks then the flow, then energy's moving. So in other words, energy's moving. Energy's emanating. And then what winds up happening is that you become like the sun, where the plants lean into you, life leans into you. Okay? You become the source of strength, the center point, right? People respond to strength. So, I say be vulnerable and strong. That's because being vulnerable with strength makes you even more strong, because you're not afraid. Vulnerable without strength is just weak, not good. Strength without vulnerability is also weak. Quick question.
Guys, become your mother, your father, your lover.
That's pretty good.
It can
Become
be after a breakup.
your mother, your father, and your lover.
You don't need validation like the woman to be your mom. And sometimes you can go celebrate and like just be your lover.
Or jerk off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm pro-fap. I'm starting the pro-fap movement. So, but basically what I'm saying is, when that's dialed in, then you build your ecosystem. Okay, so don't just get stuck at the foundation unless that's your spiritual calling. Then you have your foundation, then you have all the little jokes. You have all the little jokes, all the little kind of funny art, like it's all your like RAS stuff, okay, which is basically your perception of the world, and say the word active state control. Right? So when I teach you 1,000 out of 10, that's active state control. Controlling your focus, controlling my focus. Controlling my meaning. Controlling my frame. Okay? Then what you're doing is you're giving them a dose of your frame. Then what happens is it's your ecosystem, which is your hobbies. Say hobbies. Passion. Purpose. Friendships. Social circles you're part of. All that, okay? So now let's look at what you're inviting them into. So you go up, you start talking. So say, I go up, I start talking. Not needed at all. My foundation is strong. And they will test that foundation. Okay? So they'll fuck with you a little bit. They'll fuck with you a bit. Maybe not be like so sweet right away. And they're seeing if the foundation's strong. Once they see that the foundation is strong, because the vibe is good, right? Because it's an outflow of energy, and they can feel that your base point of orientation is dialed in, you're a value-giving person, which then allows you to be more out of your head and more calibrated, more aware, because you're not burning all your mental, you're not burning all your mental bandwidth. Then what they do is they've felt that and they like it. Then what they do is they begin to taste being in your frame, which is the second layer. Okay? So you start to joke around, and they kind of go with those jokes. You start to talk about like your life stories or your perspectives on life, and they try it out. And they see how it feels. So at the base, they're feeling the energy, okay? They're feeling your base foundation, that's giving the energy. It is giving your frame, which is that you're fucking awesome, you love yourself, and your perspective of life, and they test that out. And what you'll see is that as you're talking, they have these big, say the word Bambi eyes. They have these big Bambi eyes because they're absorbing your frame. Okay, they're taking on your frame. So they're receptive to your energy and they're absorbing your frame. Okay? So now they're absorbing your frame, they're seeing how it feels. And then the last one is you invite them into your world. Say that. So in other words, maybe you invite them into your social circle. Maybe you invite them to, not that I think this is the best in this day and age, but of course trends change, could change in the future. Maybe you invite them to your favorite restaurant. You know, like, you don't want to just necessarily go to a new restaurant, although you could, definitely could. Better though, is to go to a restaurant where you're friends with the waitresses and friends with the manager. Right? Better is to invite them amongst a group of friends who respect you. Better is to bring out your female friends. If I met someone I like, I'm going to bring my female friends out too. Does that sound weird? What, you brought your female friends with you? Won't they get mad? Not in the 2020s. It's not the 70s. It's not the 50s. It's not a dinner date. It's a kickback. It's a hangout, right? So you've got other cool friends there. So now they get to observe who your friends are. So now imagine as a girl, right? You're talking to a guy. His energy is like completely on point, and he's in a higher vibration than you. Well, what does that do to your vibration if he has a higher vibration than you?
It will also, it can increase my vibration as well.
Okay, so what happens is his energy is flowing, and he has, and repeat after me, say a non-sketchy point of orientation. Yeah, he's got a non-sketch point of orientation, right? But now when you hear that, I know what you're thinking. You're like, what, is that you pandering? Are you a white knight? That's not pandering. That's called you are so much in abundance that that's just how it is. That's from a frame of ultra high level abundance. Okay, where your abundance is not just that you get girls or money, that your abundance runs fucking deep. It's like a deep-rooted abundance. A totally deep-rooted self-faith, a deep-rooted self-trust, a deep-rooted flow, which then frees up all that bandwidth of the take. Am I cool? Me, it's me. It's me, do I look cool? Right? It frees up all that noise, which makes you calibrated, right? So now you're getting from that guy good energy. Then you get the energy, which makes you open to talk. Then what happens is, as you're getting the energy to talk, or the good energy that makes you want to talk.
You got a good energy from me. That's why you got me to come here, Luke.
Well, thank you. So,
Otherwise,
yeah, so it felt okay.
I got to know you through the 3-day seminar that we had.
Yeah, and it felt okay. And then you became open to seeing the perspective. It doesn't mean you're going to agree with the perspective, but you're open. You're like, check it out. You know what I'm saying, right? So you check it out, okay? Then, were my guy friends or female friends, like Marina, were they cool?
I did meet some people there that I think you were close
Yeah, so in the short time we had, so you met Kevin. Kevin?
Yes.
Cool guy?
Yes.
Did you meet Marina, the girl?
No.
You meet my son Dylan?
Yes.
Okay, so was my son Dylan a nice kid?
Very.
Okay, so now what's happening, and was it fun to be in the seminar environment?
Yes.
Okay, so look at her process. So it goes, energy's good. Okay, I'm open. Perspective doesn't mean they have to agree with everything, but they're just like, check it out. Check it out, right? Okay, cool. And then from there, they go in the ecosystem, they go cool, and then now they're okay to be around you. And then it's kind of just see where it goes from there. Now, what you don't know is when me and her met, we gave each other a bunch of shit. Okay, we had a big argument, right? Do you remember that? Yes. Okay, so that's the testing phase. Although from her perspective, she's like, I meant what I said. But from my perspective, I view it like a test. So the thing is so that's kind of like how it kind of goes, right? But basically what it is like, that's kind of the way it goes. Then what you do is you allow different people to be in your ecosystem, guys and girls, and because you're not trapped in your mind, you'll see which ones make sense to go further, okay? Let me give you another example with sales, okay? Let me relate it with sales. Some of you in this room will be like, say, Sid, where Sid is making millions of dollars doing mergers and acquisitions, and then he sees the content, and he's able to see a lane where he goes, wait a minute, if I do a side quest away from mergers and acquisitions, still doing some, but if I put some folks on mastering public speaking and sales, I can potentially make way more in mergers and acquisitions. So then it makes sense, right? Then what happens is Sid will come, be part of it, and learn. So the vibe and energy is there. For some of you in here, taking 5 years away from what you're doing would be the best thing you could ever do. But for some of you in here, 1 training is enough. So for some of you in here, 2 trainings enough. For some of you in here, a year of training is enough. For some people, the free event I do is enough. That's really enough. Does that mean that the people at the free event who never go further couldn't benefit from learning more? No, they could absolutely benefit from learning more. But maybe they're not in a phase of life where it's priority at that time. So a sale, when I'm doing a sale, I'm not needing anything. It's a very firm invitation to go deeper, but that's it. Like, let me even ask this room. Who here would say, I'm gonna ask the room, who here would say that like between the free event, some digitals, and this one event, you got everything that you probably want to learn? Who here in this room, I'm not even doing sales right now, I'm trying to show the audience an example. Who in this room is like, if I trained with you probably twice, I would have got what I want for where I'm currently at. And who here in this room, if you had unlimited money, if you could come and just train, you could see how it would make you way more money. Like over the course of your life, you'd make so much more cash, and you wish you could do what Sid did. So who here feels like just from coming once, you got what you need for now? Put your hand up if that's you. Okay, cool. You're maybe at 1. The reason you'd be at 1, if I was gonna guess, is you're like, look, this is really badass, I love it, but I have this other stuff that I gotta focus on right now, so I feel like I got what I came to get, but there's like this other stuff that I need to focus, okay? Who here is like, if I came twice, that would probably be like about what I need for where I'm currently at amongst my other priorities. Doesn't mean that you wouldn't love to come forever, but that's you. Okay, so that's like a small, maybe 4 or 5 people. And then who here is like, man, if I had unlimited money, not again, no one has unlimited money, right? But if I did, and I could come for a fucking year and do what Sid did, and I could be on the level that Sid is on in front of a crowd, that would help me to scale all the other things that I'm doing. Put your hands on that. Okay, so this audience was receptive. This is a very receptive audience. But this is also a filtered audience. You see that? Because we're on a training right now, right? This is a filtered audience. But if I said that at a free event, the numbers would be a lot lower. And if I said that to a random person on the street, that would also be a lot lower. So this is a qualified audience, right? I'm not mad that some random person on the street doesn't resonate with what it is that I do. Okay? But occasionally, I'll meet someone on the street and invite them. I actually met him at Erewhon an hour ago.
Yeah, and I've seen him in action. I'll just say that.
I was talking to the girl he's with. So the point is, okay, but I met him, and I started talking to her, and she's amazing, but I kind of like him better.
I approached him, and I was watching them, and they were like a movie.
What's that?
It was like watching an episode in a movie, and I was kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Did you really just get her to agree to everything that you proposed?
Yeah.
After getting
This is an hour ago.
Yeah, she said yes to everything.
Yeah. So.
She's my friend.
Yeah. But the thing is, and she's great, and I hope that her and I hang out again.
And she's a model.
Yeah, she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. But the point is, at the same time, I start talking to him, and I'm like, I have more in common with him. So then I told her, I'll see you tomorrow, and me and him are kicking it now. But he's the kind of guy where he's really cool. I don't know if he knows a ton of models like that or not. He's in fashion, but whether he does or not, he has the potential to. But I have things I can, so I don't bring every random gay dude that I meet at Erewhon to a seminar, right? But here's what's funny. He happened to be into this kind of content. So the whole way we're driving here, we're having a great conversation, and I'm getting his perspective, and your perspective in the car gave me all these ideas for what I put in a TikTok, what I put in Instagram. And he's like, dude, you got to go back to some of your older stuff because this generation needs it right now, but maybe in a bit of a smarter, because I used to, do a little crazy, create some problems for myself, but he's like doing a smarter, updated way. And then he's giving me perspectives on that. So I'm learning from him. And then he's like, yeah, I'd like to hear about public speaking, so I'll come learn from you. So then with me and you being friends, maybe, and this is just like how it is with everybody, maybe we'll kick it tonight and that'll be it. And you'll be like, dude, I met this guy and we went to a seminar and that was cool. Or maybe we'll become friends and hang out more. Who knows, right? And we're still just talking and there's no need for it to go a certain way. But do you see, that's literally what I do. I just talk to people when I'm out. I literally just talk to them. I don't have an outcome from it. And if the dude's cooler than the girl, I might just wind up making friends with the guy. You guys see where I'm going with this? But ironically, it's because of that, of why, again, I've dated girls of all different looks. If I go home on a given night and I didn't go home with anybody, and I go to jerk off, I'm not always gonna jerk off to the hottest girl I met that night. You see what I'm saying? I might be fantasizing about the girl that I had chemistry with, right? But sometimes it is the hottest. What I'm saying is, just like how most attractive women have dated really hot guys, but they've also dated funny guys, they've also dated quirky guys, they've dated smart guys, I'm like that too. I just like who I have chemistry with, a certain percentage, my last girlfriend was Miss USA contestant, okay? So it's not like I'm not dating beautiful women, right? Previous girlfriend was Playboy Playmate. So these are public relationships I've had. But I've also had relationships with that girl that was 51. And to be honest, that was a pretty fucking amazing sex. So I wish I could bring her in, right? She's kind of mad at me right now because, she got mad at me because she would say to me, what was she mad about? She got mad about something. Oh, you know what she got mad about? She got mad because I had a female friend that I brought to the spa and she said I'm cheating on her. Anyway, but I wasn't cheating on her, but then I did wind up having sex with that girl later. So, right, and that girl was 21. So the point is Ed looked exactly like her. So, but I didn't mean to, but then it happened. It just happens. I'm like a girl, it just happened. So anyway, and then I didn't see her for 2 years and I had sex with her the other day. So yeah, so the thing is but that's what I'm showing you guys. I'm not going in with any particular agenda. I'm just open. I talk to people, and then for some people, assuming that your foundation is good, okay, the foundation and the point of orientation is good, your perspective and your frame is and again, it's not meant to be good for everybody. It's meant to be your best version of that. Okay, so your frame is like the way that you see the world that empowers you, that, you might want to write this down, that empowers you, that helps you, and that keeps you emotionally buoyant. And that last one's really big, right? So you want to have a very empowering set of beliefs. You want to have a you want to have a frame that makes bad stuff kind of funny, but that you don't ignore it. You guys got that? It's like it makes hard things funny, but not burying your head in the sand like an ostrich. Like, say you found out you had cancer. A bad response would be to get so stressed that the cancer beats you because you're so stressed. But an equally bad response is you ignore it and keep eating Big Macs, right? So what would be like the best response having cancer?
Accept it.
Maybe I would say a couple days of grieving. Look, I don't believe in this whole like super enlightened shit where like you find out you have cancer and you don't even blink. Like, come on, dude. Like, that's just stuffing. Now you're just pretending you're something you're not. It's okay to cry and to go to your friends and fucking complain and be like, oh, fuck, I fucking can't. Like, that's normal, dude. Like, that's okay, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I love cancer, okay? Like, oh, Big Mac. I ain't afraid of cancer like a bitch, okay? Yeah?
Did you ask Eckhart Tolle how he felt when he got it?
I didn't ask him because I've never like hung out in one-on-one, although one of my coaches did date his stepdaughter. But the point is that, but didn't seem to get me any points that card. But anyways, funny story. But the point is, I think it's like Kim's daughter or somebody anyway. But anyway, but the point being is, I'm like the biggest Eckhart fan, but I was like, okay. But anyway, but like, look, I'm not Eckhart Tolle. What do you want me to tell you? Like, there's levels in this game, okay? If you're Eckhart Tolle and like you came to the earth to like be the Eckhart, fine, motherfucker, fine, okay? You didn't care when you had cancer. Okay, you win, bro. You win, okay? You're the man. But a normal person is not like, like, okay? Like, you're gonna be fucking pissed, okay? You're gonna be sad, and you're gonna be scared, and you're gonna have to process, okay? That's fine. The question is 18 months later, you're still crying and freaking out, and you're so stressed that your cortisol is jacked up, you can't sleep, and you die of cancer. So a better response would be grieve, talk to your inner circle, maybe talk to some people, come to terms with it. Then ideally, you make dietary changes, maybe get treatment, whatever you gotta do, and then to be positive. That is like a good frame to have, right? And your foundation knows that you are a soul, you're not just a physical body, so you have that as a foundation. Past that, you have a good perspective, a healthy, balanced perspective, not of like stuffing, but of just some quick grieving. Like, look, if you ever break up with your girlfriend and you tell me you didn't cry, like, I think that's kind of weird, right? Like, it's like, no, I don't care. Like, dude, shut the fuck, like, why you gotta be so cool, bro? Like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to let it go, it's okay to be upset. But are you still upset a fucking year later, like fucking crying? That's not healthy, right? So it's like grieve, process, it kind of gets out of you in a healing journey a little bit, but ideally then you can find it funny. You can see the humor in the breakup, or you can see the humor in the crisis, and that's what keeps you stable. And then past that, you've got friends and things to live for. Okay, you have something, it's not just, I have to live, like what I have to live for. Like that's not like how you have to have it. So you also have things to live for, right? So that's like the 3 levels of kind of how you want to think about it. And so when you go and talk to someone, basically you want to understand the mechanics of how to start a conversation. So you know the mechanics of it, just how to just like break the pattern of the same boring conversation, maybe say something a little unexpected or fun, use good vocal tonality, use good projection, be confident, have good eye contact, good body language, be very confident, very grounded, and talk and let them kind of get a sense of who you are. Then you start to joke around, and as you're joking around, tease a little bit, maybe push them away a little bit, they test you a bit, and they're feeling your energy, and they're getting invited into your perspective, okay? Then you invite them in your world, and to be fair, some people are so negative that if you invite them into a really cool world, they actually don't like it. Like they'd rather go hang out with like a bunch of gangsters or something than a positive environment. But that's not resonant anyway. Like what's the solution? You're gonna go get like a bandana and a gun and some crack, and represent your block, to get the girl, right? Like, I don't really, you could, why not do it for science, I guess, right? Do it for the story, the legends, right? The lore, but that's not necessarily, a long-term, right way of going about it. And then basically then you're looking for people that would be a fit. And then what winds up happening is you're gonna have, basically, here's what your life looks like. You're gonna have some people who the interaction ends really fast, okay? It's gonna end really fast. Then you're gonna have people, and you're gonna thank them for that because they didn't waste your time. Then you're gonna have people who you talk to for a few minutes, it's a good vibe, and then that kind of it. Then you have people where you talk maybe half an hour, and then that's it. Then there's gonna be people who you invite out to a party that you put on, or a cool event you put on, and they add to the event, but they kind of be better talking to your friends, right? So you just let them do it. You not let them, but you just are giving space for them to do that. Then there's people who you kind of could vibe out with for half an hour, but you're still kind of feeling each other out. So that's enough for that day. Then you each kind of go back into your frame, your energy, because you've kind of had a taste of their energy, their frame, and their ecosystem. Now you go back to yours, you let it breathe and simmer, but then you invite them out to it later again. And then they get kind of another sampling of it again. But then there's somebody who, I don't know, maybe there's someone who's not looking for a relationship, looking for a wild time that night, and you go crazy that night, and something crazy happens. And there's always a lot of people open to that, so if that's what you're looking for, it'll be there. Then from there, you're gonna have people who you connect with more deeply, and then eventually, if you have that process, if you're looking to have children, I wanna have more kids myself, you're gonna meet someone who's good to have kids with, and then that's gonna have a good vibe. You're gonna be open to their energy and their frame. They're gonna be open to your energy and your frame. You're gonna merge ecosystems, but ideally, usually they're kind of looking to get upgraded a bit because that's called hypergamy. So they're not necessarily looking to go into be around a guy with less spiritual energy, a worse foundation, a more not constructive view of life, lamer friends than what she has, right? As a girl, you probably want to be around a guy where you feel uplifted, his perspective is one that you respect, and his friends are maybe cooler than your current peer group.
With girls, honestly, same with girls. My friends, I have some friends, all they do is just talk BS and talk behind people's back. Then I have other group of friends, we talk about how to become more, go up more in life, make more money, have real conversation, and that uplifts me more.
Yeah, so that's where you're at. So that's why we get along, because you're somebody who likes to move up and likes to kind of go up. Other people are not necessarily looking to go up or to to improve. So I'm not necessarily have a friendship with them or dating them. I'm kind of just whatever, right? Or maybe you just have some crazy hookup or something, but it's not going anywhere. Okay? And then this also gives you the space to recognize when it's not going anywhere and not try to force it. And so ultimately, when you go to have children, you'll be more likely to meet somebody where there's a better foundation there, of a shared foundation. And so that's also why, guys, it's so important to be in abundance, right? It's so important to meet a lot of people, because it's gonna teach you the following. When you meet a lot of people, it's gonna teach you right off the bat, maybe where there's a problem in your foundation. Because maybe your energy's a bit off, and you're like, well, how come these people have better energy than me? Now, to be fair, they might have stolen a line of Coke. To be fair, they could be drunk. So let's not pedestalize a bunch of people partying, okay? That said, there are people out there that just have a better foundation than you. And if you want to invite them or attract them in your life, then you have to do what's called the work. Just say the word, the work. The work. You just do the work, right? Which means, say, self-analysis, getting feedback, and self-awareness. Challenging your frame. Yeah, just stuff like that. You do the work, right? So if you've done the work, it could be meditation, it could be say the word meditation, presence work, or spiritual work. Right? So understand yourself as a spirit, not a body, or maybe if you're atheist, you could understand it in a different way as well. But just do the work, right? You do the work to find that groundedness, to find that presence, to find that non-neediness, and to have that inner point of orientation that you're not a taker, but you are an expansive energy. We are, created in the image of our Creator. So you have a created energy, so the energy is flowing out of you, which gives you good energy, which then again frees up bandwidth, which lets you be witty, which lets you have a great comeback for a shit test, which lets you have fun, which means that if you're at the club and someone goes to the bathroom, you don't just sit there little Oliver Twist, when are you coming back? Okay? Yeah, stuff like that, right? Stuff like that, okay? So it gives you that good energy vibe. So then they feel that good energy coming from you. Then they begin to hear you out. They observe how you joke. They observe what you like to talk about. They also see if you're a listener, if you can listen to them, and so on and so forth, right? They feel that. And what you'll see is increased receptivity. So if they like what they're experiencing, you'll know because if you do a high five, they give you a big high five back, right? You'll give a high five and they go, they give a big high five back. Or they get very giddy. Like they almost childhood regress psychologically, even though they're adults. But they'll psychologically, even though as adults, child regress a bit. They become giddy, they start laughing, they start having fun. That's why you don't want to be too serious, okay? So you know a lot of guys will say they get mad that they can't just be hyper logical with the girl? That's because the girl doesn't just want to see your logic, she wants to see the way that you process the world as far as how she's gonna feel around you. So you gotta be aware how she's gonna feel around you, okay? So that's how she's gonna feel around you. Then she's gonna shit test you a bit to see if it's real by being a bit rude or by kind of fucking with you a bit. And she's gonna look at your insecurities, like if you're bald, she's gonna call that out. If you're short, she's gonna call that out. If you're fat, she's gonna call that out. It's not that she's actually judging you, it's that she wants to see if you are okay with it. So like the average girl doesn't go up to a guy who's got a pot belly and go, pot belly, right? She's not randomly going to a guy with a pot belly and go, you have a fucking pot belly, fucking loser, okay? Fucking loser, okay? I mean, maybe some, right? That's like 1 in 10,000. But so if that happens, is that good or bad?
It's good.
It means something good is happening.
Yeah, your frame
right?
tested.
Yeah, it's a frame test, right? So in other words, they're seeing how you feel about it. Are you okay with you? So they want to see that your perspective is okay with you. Chair, and I had a really, really great dating life from a wheelchair. And I was able to do that because I was okay with being in a wheelchair. And the different girls that I dated all said the same thing. They're like, I can't believe I have a boyfriend in a wheelchair. They couldn't believe it. And I said, well, why'd you do it? They all said the same thing. Because I was in a wheelchair like half a year. They said, because you're okay with it. They even admitted, like, if you weren't okay with this, I would never do this. Guys, I didn't know if I was ever gonna walk again. I had a piss bottle, and I'd have to roll over in bed, piss in a jug, and have them flush it for me. That's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of emasculating. If we get in the car and we met out, I've got to hobble into the car, and they, not being necessarily that strong as a girl, had to take a very heavy wheelchair and put it in the trunk for me, and then drive me, and then get it back out, let me go in it, let me crawl. If you guys have been to my crib, you guys have been to my mansion in Hollywood Hills, they have to crawl down, I have to crawl down that stairwell on my hands, push myself up, roll over, take a piss in a jug, and have them flush it. And then have sex. Okay? This is real. Okay? Yeah. And guys complain about their looks, right? So, how'd I do that?
Frame.
Total frame and confidence. So it didn't matter at all, okay? But you had to be confident with it, right? So it's gonna test you, okay? It's gonna test you like a motherfucker, okay? So you gotta be confident. So your frame has to be, I'm in a wheelchair, but it's fun. So if you're in a wheelchair, you've gotta be like, this is awesome. I get let in the front of the line. They gotta push me to the front of the airport. I never have to stand up in the line of the bank. I just get to sit in a fucking chair. You've gotta love the wheelchair. Look, I was so delusional, I didn't want to leave the wheelchair when I got out of it. Because Ibrahim used to help to push me, said to help push me. I hated it when I got out of the wheelchair. I was so addicted to the wheelchair, I kept it longer than I should have. I didn't want to. I was once at a museum, and I saw a girl in a wheelchair, and just like in the movie Fight Club, when Marlon knows that Edward Norton's faking, I knew she's faking. I go, you're faking, you're not in a wheelchair. She goes, yes, I am. I'm like, I'm faking too. And I saw her, it was in Hawaii, at the mall later walking. I go, I told her. I knew she's faking. Because I brainwashed myself so much I liked the wheelchair. I thought guys not in a wheelchair were losers. I thought guys not in a wheelchair, like, they're like the suckers that don't get wheeled around, have to stand in the line. So I liked it. So as a result, it did not affect me once I got used to it. Now I'll tell you though, that first time in the wheelchair, getting wheeled into the club, I first went to the bungalow in LA, and having to get wheeled in, humiliating, degrading, having to crawl up the stairs at bungalow, lying down, I had to crawl up the stairs, and I got put on a couch. Was anybody with me on trainings when I was in the wheelchair? Nobody here? There's quite a few people that I was, for half a year I was in this thing. So I was doing trainings in it, right? And I would sit on the couch, I couldn't really move around the club, and I'd have the students bring people over to talk to me, and I'd show them how to do it from the couch. It was fun. But by the end of it, I didn't want to leave, because I liked it so much. I didn't want to walk. I got institutionalized. like a guy in jail, right? So as institutionalized. But the point is that you've got to have a frame. Like if you go to jail for your own mental sanity, you've got to find it fun. That doesn't mean to stay there, but you got to find it fun. So whatever whether you're bald, fat, short, not muscular, whatever, on one level, fix what you can. But if you can't fix it, then you fix it internally. Or do both. Fix it internally as you fix it, but you've always got to have a good perspective. And they're going to test that perspective. So again, they're entering into your energy field, and then that gets them to want to enter into your frame, which is your belief set. And then what they do is they fuck with you and they test your belief set. So if you're talking to somebody, you have to be stronger in frame than them, and then they visit your frame. You've got to be more emotionally grounded than them, and then they visit your energy. Then what happens, you've got a cooler life than them. Well, their life's cool too, but then they visit your life. Now, look, the girl that he was talking about who I met just now, I've been inviting her to Marcel's crib that I might even be moving into. That's like a $200 million mansion or whatever it costs. You kind of wish that you could invite someone to a $200 million mansion on the side of the ocean on a cliff? I get it. But that happens to be something I have right now. It's a great invite. Do you want to know what other invites I've done? Bonfire on the beach. Anybody can do a bonfire on the beach. And you want me to be honest with you? That bonfire on the beach was fucking lit. People love that invite. We got a bunch of plastic tables, put all out like kind of like these, collapse these on the ground, put white sheets over them, and we had everybody dressed in white and gold. And everybody came down, big bonfire. As a woman, would that be a fun event for you to get invited to? Like you've done it. See, she's even done it herself. Yeah, everybody's having fun on the beach, music. Everybody brings some food. Awesome fucking invite, bonfire. So as much as you're like, oh fuck, Owen's got happens to have like a mansion available to invite. I've done amazing shit without that. Who here's ever done trainings with me like at my house in the Hollywood Hills? Okay, that's a pretty cool invite, right? Coming up to a mansion with a big view. Yeah. But how's this here in the hotel? Cool. Also cool. We're at the fucking Marriott. Okay? Because we're together, right? So as cool as it is to have a mansion invite, we're at the fucking Marriott. We're at the Marriott Woodland Hills. Right? You're in fucking Woodland Hills. You're not even in proper LA.
It's the valley.
We're in the valley. But you've got to be fun enough that you could run a seminar in the valley. Like we did this seminar in a mansion yesterday with 5 supercars in the front. Is today as fun as yesterday? Yeah. I think it's the same shit. Yeah. So like as cool as it is to have 5 supercars parked out front, it's kind of a vibe, we could do this too. I could meet somebody standing up, I could meet someone in a wheelchair, right? So again, you've got to have the energy, good frame, good ecosystem, and then that's what you're inviting them into. And then you allow, what's gonna happen is you're going to feel the energy of where it's supposed to go, and you let it go where it's supposed to go. But if you can see that it's meant to go further, then lead it also. Don't be passive. Don't be so passive you do nothing. You still want to have a degree of sophistication to understand, like, this person's with their friends. At some point, we have to go maybe on a little walk, just me and them. Or we got to go chat over there, me and them. Like, you know what I mean, right? Like on some level, you do have to still, like, you can't just sit there like, well, it's a good vibe, like, everything's gonna take care of itself. Like, that's too passive, okay? It's like people that are into manifestation. Manifestation is real, but also the biggest excuse for laziness I've ever fucking seen. So it's a real thing, but it's like, I don't have to build my business. I'm gonna manifest $1 million. Like, dude, shut the fuck up, okay? You're gonna build it, and then when you build it, it will manifest. And it's kind of true. And there is something spiritual that happens when you build something. It's not just you building it. So it is manifestation, but it's also you building it. But let's circle back. The idea of manifestation is that you do it from a space of energy. So manifestation, the idea of it is that you have to be a vibrational match for what you want to attract. So you'll actually see where if you're somebody who's very wealthy and has a great vibe and good energy, women that are not able to be around wealth and it's just too much spiritual light for them will actually dump you and get rid of you, even though you're like the best guy they could ever date, and they'll get rid of you. It's actually one of the biggest problems with really having like money, good energy, good vibes, is you actually get to a point, this is not just an excuse, you'll get to a point where you might have a girl who you like, but it's so much light that her inner circuitry can't absorb all that light. And then she starts making fights for no reason, starts problem finding, and it's like you could take the girl out of a trailer park, but you can't take the trailer park out of the girl. And so what happens is she starts fighting and becoming combative and making stuff up that's just random because she's not able to be in that much peace. So let me even go a little bit deeper then, okay? So, and here's how I'm gonna kind of tie this in a bow, okay? So you have this perspective that I'm showing you, and it'll be your version of it. Then what you do is you realize that you want what's easier. So what I'm showing you here is easier than how most people do it. How are most people doing it? Let me show you how most people do it. First of all, anxiety. Oh, I can't go talk to someone, I have anxiety. Then amidst rejection, they get butthurt. Then they have a state crash. Then they think it's too hard. Then they think they need to be a 6'4" Giga Chad to get a date. So it's all just so hard, okay? It's all so hard. Then they make lame invites. They try to, like, not force it like in a bad way, but like they try too hard to force a vibe that's not there. Then they get more frustrated. Then they watch like a negative podcast that shit talks women. They believe it. And there's probably some stuff in it that is true as well, which makes it more believable, but it's a limited paradigm. So it creates like an echo chamber. So it's not like what those people are saying is wrong, but it's just within a limited data set, and there's a whole other reality they're not seeing. It's like everyone can be right from their paradigm. So then they get more negative. They resonate with that energy and negativity. That gets fed, it becomes real to them, and now they can't meet anybody good and they can't have kids. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And everything's just so hard and everything's so difficult. Or instead, you make it easy. You go to work on you take some time to put in the work on yourself of your base foundation and your base point of orientation. You work on that. Now your energy is flowing well. Then you put in work on being a happier person by having a good perspective on life. And then you build a life that is actually fun. Then you have that. It makes it very, very easy to go meet people. There's no anxiety. It's not stressful. You make a bunch of friends. And then you invite them to fun things that you'd want to do anyway, which then builds the vibe. You got a bunch of friends. Those friends make you look amazing for the person that you're meant to be with. You're gonna have female friends that are super beautiful that you almost could get married to, but just like 20% not quite enough. And your brain is gonna tell you, no, we have to have sex, or no, she has to be my girlfriend. But if you could just leave that alone and keep them as a friend, now what you have is a attractive female friend who's visibly very into you, who then when you meet the right one is gonna be making you look crazy cool, okay? So that's kind of like how it's gonna happen, okay? So then from there, now you're more likely to meet the person who you would want to have a family with. And because of the fact that you're not needy and you've handled your inner ecosystem and your outer ecosystem and your perspective, attraction is going to stay consistent for longer because of the fact that you're meeting them at an equal frame. Because the problem is, when you're not at an equal frame, what a lot of guys do is they get this really attractive significant other and they get scared to lose her, which puts them below her. And if she has an Instagram, she's gonna have so many guys that are hitting her up, right? So if you get needy and weird, and there's this other cool guy that appears not needy and weird, and he's hitting her up, at some point your neediness and weirdness and negativity is gonna wear her down, and then she's gonna go for that guy. And then what are you gonna say when she goes for that guy? Fucking bitches, slut, all this stuff, and then you're gonna go find a podcast. It's gonna tell you that that's how life is. You're gonna find other people to commiserate with, and that'll be your reality. Except you're not wrong. That betrayal did happen. And the other people that got betrayed also got betrayed. So it's right from a perspective. It's not wrong. It's right from a perspective. Now here's what guys say. Well, if I've got to be that strong, I don't even want a girlfriend. Fuck that. I want to be able to be me, weak and negative, and a weak frame, and having no friends, and making her my only friend. And a lot of women complain about this. They say, most women have all these other cool friends and relationships. Men tend to make their wife their only fucking friend. It's a common thing men do, okay? And I think it's fair feedback. I think a lot of the feedback women give is bullshit, and I think a lot of the feedback women give is fair. And that's a fair one. So take heed of it, right? And what that's gonna do is, ironically, let's look at what this journey does in a bow. You begin initially by being empty, having a negative initial point of orientation as a taker, being spiritually empty, not having a good perspective on life or a good frame, and not having a good ecosystem. Then you watch a video that says, using this magic line, or maybe you read the Neil Strauss book or whatever, maybe use this magic line, you're gonna fill your cup because you're gonna get some hanky-panky. And so it's over, right? So then, so I don't have to change, I don't have to alchemize, I don't have to transform, I can just get this thing and consume it. So then you try to do that. It fails. Or worse, it succeeds temporarily, where you get the result, you get addicted to it, and it gets taken away from you. And that actually is gonna happen to you as well. Who here's had that where you're learning about how to get better social skills? You meet somebody, it's really good, and then it gets torn away, and it's like the worst pain in your life. Anybody here had that? Crazy fucking painful. So it's a powerful spiritual lesson.
It's the same as enlightenment.
What's that?
It's the same as enlightenment. Like you feel it one day, then it's gone, and you try to.
Yeah.
We will try to like.
But you could argue, if you're coming from a spiritual view of life, that you're here to get that lesson. That was actually the best thing that could happen to you. So if you believe you're a meat suit, that lesson is vicious. It's just pain with no meaning. The meaningless void of pain. But if you see it as part of your progression, then you can embrace the lesson and realize that that person was a partner with you in allowing you to achieve that lesson. They gave you some fun and pain on the way out that actually helped you more than the fun did. It actually helped you more than the fun did. Right? So the fun was good, but the pain was even better because of how it changed you for the better. Again, you can become bitter or better. Say bitter or better. Bitter. So when that lesson happens, you can go, I hate the world. Where's my podcast? And be mad. Or you can go, I like that lesson. It taught me that I've got to heal myself. But again, a lot of guys will say, well, if that's what I have to do, I don't even want it. Yeah. But a better perspective would be, I like that it works that way. And then it's going to force me to fix my internals, fix my frame and beliefs, and fix my ecosystem, and then now someone can add to my ecosystem. So then what happens is that you have someone come in your life, and whether it's friendship or sex, it's very fun, very, very fun. Then you lose it, it hurts a bit, but that teaches you where you're missing and becomes a mirror for you and a lesson. You go through some experiences like that, and then ideally by the time that you're ready to have kids, you've evolved and transformed. And then from there, you're much more likely to stay with the person. Like you're more likely to find the right person to have kids with, because you're just open to meeting different people. So you've met a lot of people. That's why it's so important to meet a lot of people. Okay? Meeting a lot of people is not about being a player. Meeting a lot of people is not about tricking anybody. Meeting a lot of people is not about, being like a sex addict. Okay? Or fuckboy. Meeting a lot of people is important to meet the right person. And meeting a lot of people is important for your own self-knowledge because they are a mirror. So then basically, so you meet a lot of people, so that way you meet the right person, you're open, but also what happens is that you improve in that process through the failures actually. Okay, so rejection is the best thing that ever happened to you, or breakup. Then what happens is as you're growing and learning to fix that, what will ultimately happen is your partner's gonna be completely obsessed with you. Because very few people have done that amount of work on themselves, and it makes you into a 10. For the right person, you will become a 1,000,000 out of 10. And you kind of need that for a long partnership. You kind of need that pedestalization for them to stick around. So you become a 1,000,000 out of 10. They will be like, oh, why am I so obsessed? Why am I so into them? Why is this like the best guy I've ever met? So you're gonna get that. And women, and same thing, when you have that, guys will get that as well. They get obsessed. And that's gonna get it where he pops the ring. That's where he's gonna, like, you're gonna get everything you want. So from there, you now started thinking that you wanted one thing. You didn't get it. You had to figure out something totally different that was better. But then when you got the thing that was totally different that was better, what'd you get?
The thing that you originally wanted.
You got the original thing. Make sense, guys?
Yeah.
So to get the original thing, realize, like, if I'm making a clickbait video and I have a clickbait with like a thumbnail and a title, what I'm talking about here is too abstract and is beyond the sphere of knowledge of the average person. So even though this should be the clickbait, I can't put this as the clickbait. So instead what I'll do is the clickbait, I'll make a dumb photo of my face, like, and then I'll make something like, get everything you want. I will actually I'll make titles that sarcastically even play into this. So for example, like one of the titles that I did was, I had a funny one. I wrote, give nothing, gain everything. And it's just me clowning the whole paradigm, right? Like, I'm actually teaching the opposite, right? So you say, do no work and get everything you want, selfishly, right? Because that's what paradigm the average person's in. Then you dangle the carrot in front of them and say, I'll show this to you. That gets them in the door. Later, they realize that's not even a thing. It doesn't even exist. Like the book The Game by Neil Strauss, people get into that because, like, look, you can do the magic line, but that's not even a thing. Like, that's not even a thing. It doesn't exist. But what happens is they get in the door, they're like, well, what would it look like to be able to meet people? And then they find out what actually works. So I'm not saying what he taught doesn't work, but I'm just saying, like, that's like a very limited, like, kind of entry point. It's an entry point. It's a very real entry point. It's a real entry point, but it's not the end of the destination. He even says that in the book. So the point is, like, that's an entry point because that's the limited paradigm that society's in. But then ideally you take the journey. So it's almost like the hero's journey, like Master Frodo in Lord of the Rings, right? Where you're kind of in the village, and the village is a very limited perspective. Then you have a call to adventure. This is all, you guys know Joseph Campbell, Hero of the 1,000 Faces? Yeah. Do you guys know the hero's journey? Yeah. Okay, let me just read out to you. Tell us in like under 2 minutes what the steps of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey is.
Absolutely. So Joseph Campbell's hero's journey is this classic storytelling framework that usually starts with the hero in an ordinary world, then they get a call to adventure. They might refuse that call at first, but eventually they cross into some special world full of challenges. They meet mentors, face trials, and ultimately come back transformed. So it's really just that cycle of going out, fading the unknown, and returning with some kind of wisdom.
Give me a little bit of a longer version with the exact steps of the hero's journey.
Of course. Let's dive a bit deeper. So the hero's journey typically has about 12 key steps. It starts with the ordinary world, where the hero is in their normal life. Then there's the call to adventure, where something happens that invites them into the unknown. Sometimes they go through a refusal of the call because they're not ready or they're scared. Then they meet a mentor who gives them some guidance or tools. Eventually they cross the threshold into this new world of adventure. Once they're in, they face tests, allies, and enemies, which is a whole series of challenges. They move on to an approach to the inmost cave, kind of the heart of the journey, leading to a big ordeal, a major challenge or crisis. After they overcome their ordeal, they get a reward or some kind of boon. Then they take the road back to the ordinary world, but they might still face a resurrection, like one final test. Finally, they return home with the elixir, some wisdom or treasure that transforms their ordinary world. So that's the longer version in a nutshell.
Thank you. So basically what you have is this, okay? So you're in a smaller reality or a contracted reality where you're more of a taker and you kind of just want to take to fill a void. Then you get the call to adventure that there's this whole other layer of knowledge and paradigm that you could go down. Then you resist it because you just want the one girl to love you or, whatever else, right? Then you realize that you've got to put in the work. Then you kind of wish that you didn't and are bitter about it. Finally, you get some mentors. They show you there's a whole other paradigm. You go, you expand, you learn, ups and downs, highs and lows, peaks and valleys. And when you're finally ready to build a family, in this day and age, in modern day, is when you've had the elixir, you've had the transmutation, you've transformed into, again, if you remember my program called The Blueprint, deep identity level change. Say the word deep identity level change. Deep identity level change. Yeah, so that was kind of like in The Blueprint, which I created many years ago. It was kind of like my response to the Neil Strauss book. That was what I was referring to, is that there's a deep identity level change where from an identity level, you have the capacity to attract the right people and to be social and confident and whole, okay? And again, joking can be great. some of the fun little routines that Neil talks about can be great. It doesn't mean you can't ask an opinion opener or tease or anything like that, but say the word integrate and transcend.
Integrate.
Yeah, so it's not like what he was teaching is wrong, but he would even tell you this in the book. It's just kind of like, that's kind of like a magic pill that you never even need in the first place, but you could do it and it could be fun. Like those little openers are fun. It's a cool way to start a conversation, but it's not everything, okay? So in other words, you take a lot of action and you take so much action, it gradually begins to overwhelm the thinking mind and you go much, much deeper in your paradigms, okay? So that is the overarching perspective. And that same thing will happen in sales. You remember I said sales, ask this room, who here would want to go like way deeper? A lot of people here would want to. But when I'm out doing sales in the public, I'm not trying to get every single person to do what I do. I'm gonna know how to write a sales letter. I'm gonna know the foundations of sales. I'm gonna know the mechanisms of sales. I'm gonna initiate, I'm gonna close, but I'm not needing anything, and I don't want anyone there who's not meant to be there. If I even say to you guys, I only want you here if you deeply resonate with the content, and I don't want everyone here, how much more does that make you like being here?
Way more.
Okay, what if I say, I just want everyone, and I try to get everyone to be here. I even try to give it away for free. I just want everyone here.
Lower the vibe.
It lowers the value, okay? So you've got to think about that.
Your 3D seminar was like marketing also.
Yeah, and what I do is I have it to where I have videos that people can watch. Yeah, I close hundreds of thousands. I have videos that people can watch, and if they want to watch it, cool. If not, cool. A lot of people only watch the first 3 seconds of a video. I'm not trying to make them watch more if they're not meant to. Then there's people who watch a lot of videos, and that's it. They'll never come to a free event. Then there's people that will come to a free event, and that's it. Then there's people that will come to one paid event. I'll never see them again. And then there's people that love this stuff so much, they wind up becoming teachers in it. So there's a range of people, and it depends the value that they're getting in that phase of their life. So my job is not to make some random guy, I'm not meant to just take some random guy from the mall and be like, you need to be my next instructor. And I'm like, why do they want to be my next instructor? Fuck them. Let's watch a podcast about it. Right? It's not that. I like those podcasts, by the way. I'm just saying it, but it's one paradigm. But some of them are my friends. But what I'm saying is, my job is to recognize where they're at, recognize that somebody like that is someone who you could joke around with for a minute, or share ask for directions, or just like lighten up their day, or give them a compliment. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the extent to which you have there, and that's all that it should be. But then at the same time, if there's more there and you can feel that energy there, you've got to lead and allow and provide the opportunity for them to talk to you more. But then where it goes is just where it goes. Okay? But if it's meant to go more, then you've got to lead it to more. Then when it's at its end, you've got to see if you can fix it. You prod, you vibe it out. You're like, well, could we fix this? I'm open to fixing this. Let's see if we can. Be open to fixing it, but if it can't be fixed, you have to let that go. And typically, what is the best way to fix whether a guy and guy relationship, business relationship, or girl relationship? Because I have many exes I'm friends with. What's the best way to fix it? Give space. Okay, so you provide space. That's why any healthy breakup coach will tell you, you have to give them space. Like, tell them that you would like to keep going. Ask them if there's anything that can be done to fix it, and be open to it. And if they want changes made, if you care enough, make the change they asked. But if they can't get back on board and they're no longer engaged, like their mind's just not engaging in that way that it used to, give them space. And they'll come back. They actually will come back in most cases. Maybe they'll get married and move to Dubai or something. You know my point, right? Get shit on by the hummus mafia. God knows what this age. But I'm just saying, but in a lot of cases, they'll come back. But you've got to give the space. And also, that's the only way that you can have value as well. Now, by the way, I actually want to wrap this speech. I'm going to say one more piece. And I like these people, so I'm not dogging them, but it's a powerful insight too. There's actually these channels called How to Get Your Ex Back channels. And it's funny because I could make a channel like that, I crush. But the How to Get Your Ex Back channels really play on people's low vibration energy and neediness, and they hook them in by going, you're gonna get your ex back, you're gonna get your ex back. And the people obsess over get their ex back. However, if you actually look at those channels, the good ones, and there's actually a lot of good ones, they actually will teach letting go. The main thing they'll teach in those channels is called non-contact. And you know what they wind up teaching? They teach, get some hobbies, let go, don't talk for 90 days, go work on yourself. And what happens is the person frantically, they go non-contact, which freaks them the fuck out because like they love the person, they want them back so bad. It freaks them out. They go in non-contact, they work on themselves, and what they learn at the end of that breakup, like how to get your ex back thing, is they shouldn't get their ex back. They actually learn that. So all the success stories in the how to get your ex back channels are basically like, I went non-contact, I totally let go, I didn't care at all, and then I moved on, and thank you. And then about 20% of them, the ex comes back, and then they also realize that they didn't even want them back, right? So they're actually teaching through that paradigm. But you don't need to necessarily have a breakup and to go through that, because you can just learn here, and you can learn from other people's knowledge. So you can actually have that knowledge now and circumvent that whole fucking episode, all that chaos. But then again, there is something about learning it firsthand, isn't there, right? So you could kind of go either way, right? But what you'll find is if you believe in some kind of spirituality of life, that the girl that you thought was there so that your meat suit could fuck, or so that your meat suit could pop out a baby, was actually there for your growth. And often we're even attracted to people that were, when we're at a higher level, we're attracted to people that we're resonant with. But at a lower level, we're attracted to business partners, friends, romantic partners, etc., sexual partners that will hurt us. But why is it that at a lower level, we're attracted to people that will hurt us?
Because we want to wake up.
Because we're trying to heal.
Yeah.
Our brain's trying to resolve something. So ironically, we become obsessed with the person who will re-traumatize us. And when you get re-traumatized, you're gonna have a choice, which is to go either to the creator of the creation, to get bitter or better. And if you can, and if when they re-traumatize you, you go, as much as I miss them, I just wanna heal, and you go to heal, then you move up. And there's a weird thing about this, but when you heal and move up, you'll see them later, and it will feel like someone you don't recognize. It'll be like somebody you don't recognize. It's like, I love them so much, and I don't know who this person was. And to be fair, they might have moved out if they got in like drugs and partying, whatever. But in a lot of cases, what happened was that you change energetic realities. And so as you change energetic realities, you can't resonate anymore. And you'll actually see it where you might bring out an ex, and you and your new friends are joking and super positive, but you tell a joke and you'll actually see them retracted, like they're kind of retracted and they can't merge into that reality tunnel with you anymore. There's like a break. It's really weird. It's freaking weird. And you just gotta give them space. Also, if you have graduated from one sphere of reality and you're about to shoot up into a reality of more abundance, things are easier, and you're more the cause of the effect, a friend, business partner, romantic partner, or sexual partner may not be able to move there with you, and they'll RAS flip. And you think that you did something wrong, and you might have, so you should listen, but in some cases, is that they can't go there with you. And so, if you view it from a limited paradigm, it's very sad, because you want them to go with you so bad, it hurts. But if you view it more from a paradigm that there's infinity, and that you'll see them again later, and you allow them to complete their karmic loop, because you also probably had other people above you that had to let you complete your karmic loop. If you can just give the space to do that, that is also a healthier place to come from, okay? So you have to allow that. And you can see that in people's pupils, the brightness in the eyes, how their energy's moving and channeling. And give me one sec. And you see it by what they focus on, okay? You see it by what they focus on, yep.
So, what is happening? How does this all work?
If somebody has a perspective of atheism, then they would believe that it's a success barrier more related to psychology, trance states, trauma, etc. And that would be a very valid area of study. Could even be cluster B. If somebody sees the world through a spiritual lens, they would see it through a core essence that traveled in the body and expanded and evolved, and via the alchemy of life, went through a sober version of ayahuasca, okay? So if you guys know what ayahuasca is, I don't do ayahuasca. I don't recommend it for me.
You would like it.
But be in the ayahuasca journey here. So basically what you have is this. The ayahuasca journey, if someone were to do that, the main point is not the ayahuasca journey itself, it's to realize that your sober life's ayahuasca. That's what you'd get out of it. But I could just tell you that here. Your sober life's ayahuasca. So basically, if you understand your sober life as ayahuasca, if you look at the structure of an ayahuasca journey, you can go into extreme pain and fear, and it forces you to confront the parts of your brain you're suppressing and to heal it, and you go into beautiful, beautiful states, and you go back and forth, right? And people will report that actually the bad parts were the best parts. I personally, for me, what I like to do is view life like that. That's kind of where I come from. So if you view life like that, then the ayahuasca just showed you that life was like that. So you kind of want to see it like, you want to see the energy behind who you're meeting, and the energy behind the experiences that you're having, and the energy behind what's happening in your life. So there's a if you're, say the word energetically aware. Okay, so if you're energetically aware, you can see the energy in the person who you're talking to, and you can recognize where that relationship's probably gonna go. But you can still be open-minded. You can kind of just feel it out, right? So what is a common thing, by the way, with narcissists or borderlines that they do early in a relationship? And psychos sometimes do it. What's the commonality? Say the word love bombing. Love bombing. So what the love bombing does is the person who's coming from a demonic energy because they maybe got traumatized, it got put in them, so they're just trying to discharge it. They love bomb because that appeals to your ego and that appeals to the physical world. And so the pleasure that they give you up front acts as a drug, which then shuts off your spiritual connection to God. So I've had it to where I've had like some of the most beautiful, incredible sex of my life for months at a time. And I actually realized it hurt my spiritual growth. Because what happens is as you're having hours and hours of sex, it's really fun and cool, but you don't need to be present anymore. Eckhart Tolle says you can be present and enlightened in a private plane. You can be present or enlightened in a jail cell, like solitary confinement. Which one are you more likely to be enlightened? Like say Nelson Mandela, right? Why in the jail cell? Because you're forced to learn it, right? Like, where are you more likely to learn active state control? Here in a room or out at a club when you're being rejected? Yeah, because you're getting rejected, so you have to use active state control. So in the same way, if you're not in a good life situation, you have to learn how to breathe and meditate and be present and like do a 5-year Vipassana in a pit somewhere, right? So being put in jail could be like a 5-year Vipassana. I mean, if you got put in jail, it's kind of what you got to do, right? It's kind of what you're left with. You can like, maybe like, do a jailhouse tattoo, maybe fuck some dude or become Eckhart Tolle. That's kind of what's on the menu, right? So maybe drink some like fermented fake alcohol or something, join a gang. But pretty much that's like your choices, work out, whatever, right? So you could actually become enlightened. It's kind of what that's what you got. But ironically, a guy like Nelson Mandela comes out completely present. So, he's got his ups and downs stuff, but he's like a saint in many ways. So basically what you have is like, in the same way, life is gonna force you to have that evolution, right? So you're gonna be, if you had a bad relationship, or say for example, you're dating a borderline or a narcissist, right? They love bomb you, that opens you up, then they discharge all this pain into you, fuck you up super bad, making you heal. You've gotta heal. It's heal or die. So when you're a codependent and you have these like little holes in your energetic system that you're like, you really love people and you really want to do right by people and you want to be loving, but you're still trying to love within the physical and not the spiritual, then you might attract, like they say narcissists and codependence is like, Ross Rosenberg calls it human magnet syndrome, because they're actually meeting each other for a very specific reason. So the codependent gets viciously brutalized, like to the point that they're shaking and there's like demon energy in their brain for 2-3 years later. Like it's super bad. It's like the worst thing. Anybody here ever dated a borderline and just get viciously gutted? Anyone here? How bad is it getting gutted by a BPD? Just yell it out. How bad? The worst thing. How bad? Horrific. But unless you've lived it, there will be people in here who hear you say that and they'll wipe it away, forget about it because it's too weird, and they'll just think that you're kind of a bitch. And then later they'll go through it and they'll go, that's like so much worse than I ever imagined. And then they'll be like, well, I guess that guy healed. Maybe I can heal. It's like you're in a permanent bad acid trip for like 3 years because they put so much negativity in you. They shoot it in you. It's like demonoid energy shot in you. It's like you're fucked in the ass with like a demon cock, like shot full of demon cum. Like it fucks your ass up, okay? Bad. Because they gradually, because what they do is they go pleasure, 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 then until you lock in, because you're disconnected from spirituality, and then they go boom all the way to hell. Well, why is that? Because you're here to learn. So ironically, by dating a borderline, you can become enlightened through that. Ironically, by getting rich and losing your reputation, you can get enlightened from that. Ironically, by having money and then going broke, you become enlightened from that. And then later, if you ultimately get the money, you can appreciate it in a different way. So your question was, what's going on here? If you're coming from a perspective that you're in a sober ayahuasca journey and that we're gonna wake up from this, that's what's going on. Yeah. Now, some people die in the womb, some people die young in childbirth, some people die in a tsunami, right? So that's not, people try to come up with like all these explanations like, well, that's because the spiritual data. It's not a perfect explanation, but it's also hard to deny if you're energetically aware and you can see the larger patterns of what's happening. So then what I'd say to you is, through your experiences, you can either be called say the word lost in Maya, like lost in the illusion, or you can use the illusion, say it, use the illusion to pole vault to a higher reality. So that's really what it's meant to do, right? So what I taught over the years, like go out and talk to a bunch of people, it's pragmatic because it works to get you a skill set, but it also forces spiritual evolution because it's rapidly increasing the speed in which you're having experiences in succession. So it's like boom, boom, boom. Like you might meet out some gorgeous girl and you're so into her, you're like, oh, I want to go good so bad, I want to go good so bad. And then you lose it, and then that actually forces you to get attached and detach. Maybe previously you would have done that once every 3 years. Now you're doing it 3 times a night. So it's rapid lessons. Entrepreneurship's the same. Entrepreneurship is the only self-help course that you get paid millions to do it, or could lose millions. but that's what entrepreneurship is so good at, okay? So that is the larger context of what you guys are seeing here. That's the larger journey, okay? And that's how I see all of this, and that's why I love all this, okay? I'm addicted to it. I think it's an incredible journey. And I had to make choices in my own life because I was like, well, do I just want to be a monk? Like, I really thought about being a monk. I really thought about just being maybe a preacher. I thought about just living in a van. I thought about just doing pure, savage entrepreneurship. And all these things for me are open possibilities on any given day. But what I found was my path, my frame, my way of living life was to build, but also to grow. And the reason I chose that, if you want to know, was I personally found the entrepreneur, too lost in Maya, but had some good stuff. The spiritual person, not growing fast enough. Spiritual bypassing. Not actually here engaging with the life journey. So what I realized was that for me, what I like is engaging with the life journey fully, including 5 years in nature, reading great books, dating, socializing, parties, entrepreneurship, personal growth seminars, great restaurants, day at the beach, kids, like just engaging with life as much as you can and then continuing to grow. And what's gonna happen on the tail end of this is you will be operating from such a high paradigm that it will actually be hard to relate to people. And then you'll realize that all that's left is to be a teacher. You'll be like, fuck, like I gotta teach this shit. I gotta teach something here because I gotta help out the homies, right? I gotta figure some shit out, right? And so that tends to be the people who, perhaps on some spiritual level, their soul is not ready to leave the earth yet because they still have something to teach. So that's what they were showing in the Hero with 1,000 Faces, Joseph Campbell, is that you go have the adventure, and at one point you lived in this little contracted village. Like, well, Marcy, she doesn't love me, and Janet was rude to me, and Fred made fun of me, and I wasn't popular in high school, right? And you care about that. It's very contracted and small. But it's like they say, like small people just talk about other people. What was the expression? What was that quote? You guys know that one from Roosevelt or the girl? What was the quote? Ibrahim, look that shit up on ChatGPT. Yeah, here it is. Well, here's the quote, okay? Repeat this after me. Great minds discuss ideas. Great minds discuss ideas. Average mind discuss events. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Small minds discuss. Yeah, so you'll see these like hater, thank you. So that's Eleanor Roosevelt. So you'll see like, for example, hater channels where all they do is they like roast people. Yeah. I've met the people that are into that. It's typically very contracted people. Very contracted. And you can see that on them. So, you know, the smaller level people in a small town, it's like, well, they did this. They're a loser. Let's talk about them, right? Whereas a higher level person is talking about ideas to increase their paradigm. And as they increase their paradigm, things get easier. Say easier.
Easier.
And they become more the cause, not the effect. Yeah, so in other words, they're able to manifest and channel energy more easily. Not from the logical confines of the mind and rigidity, but from a space of open-mindedness, synthesis, integration, and transcendence. So every idea can be right from a paradigm. Now, that paradigm can be completely fucked, but you can still see why they're in that paradigm. Why is it important to acknowledge that? Why? Repeat this after me from Jesus. Don't judge the chip in your brother's eye.
Don't judge the chip in your brother's
because you have a plank in your own eye.
Because you have a plank in your own eye.
You hypocrite. That's what it says. I think it says you hypocrite, right? So what he's saying there is, as soon as you're like, well, they're in that bad paradigm, that makes it impossible for you to recognize of your own current paradigm. So by recognizing, oh, that's completely fucked, but that's a person, which means that there's limitations in me as well. And so you see those limitations, that allows you to move more energy. Life becomes easier. You become more at the cause, not the effect. And then what happens, you become enlightened and evolve, okay? And what I found was when I looked at just straight meditators and I met the people that taught it, I didn't see what for me, in my paradigm, was an enlightenment. But what I saw was that people that undertook a journey like this had the kind of growth that I admired. And if they want to go talk to a girl on the street, they could. If they want to go make $1 million, they can. But if they also want to say fuck it and be a monk, they also can. So any possibility is open based on what is necessary for their growth and based on what is necessary to travel to in their paradigm at that moment. Does that make sense, guys? Yes. Yeah. A lot of little light bulbs going off? Yeah. How do you feel right now? Okay, tell me a couple things that you got from this, a couple quick quotes, and then we'll wrap the talk. What are some things that you got out of this? Anyone want to put their hand up? What do you get? Key takeaways.
Yeah, so the person that we're obsessed with, that like re-traumatizes us, actually is a key to our growth.
Awesome. What else? Yep.
I got so in hanging out and dating, take patience, no agenda, no time to get, be a giver, and like make the frame equal.
Yes. What else?
It always goes full circle. Like you start at a certain point, like it's the hero's journey. You start at your small village and you probably hate it. You see it through your small lens, and then you go on this journey, and then you go back and you see it in an expanded lens, and you make the life of others better in that place.
Yes.
Naturally.
Exactly. Yep. What else? Any other lessons? Got any lessons?
A lot.
A lot?
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
The energy, the spirit, the spirituality part. 'Cause
Energy.
I'm very a spiritual person as well, so I really connect with that.
Yeah, so energetic awareness. How about yourself?
I mean, I obviously like have foundation work to do. I just don't really know where to like start.
Looking at yourself, it's just like, am I in abundance? Am I a giver? Or am I just trying to take?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Am I present? How do I become present?
Yeah, like the presence thing is like 99.
Meditation, Eckhart Tolle, Power Now, these courses, Christianity, Tao Te Ching. Yep, great point. Anything else? What'd you learn?
I love your. You once said this story about the boat. You know, that you need to put in the water to test actually your inner work. Because I used to do that, to go inside and meditate and do yoga, and that was great. I healed my codependence from that, but I didn't put the boat in the water until recently, and it showed me a lot. So
fantastic, fantastic. What'd you get out of it?
That's a powerful one. I would say curate your energy. You said start from a point of origin, and then spiritual presence, beliefs, make sure they're empowering. So that it makes hard things funny, but you don't ignore them. And then state pump, and then invite people into your own world, but not from a place of need.
an offering.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I would say a lot of unattachment. So you can basically, regardless of what happens, you can choose the way you respond to it. So you can also invite people in, and they can be whatever role you give them. Whatever they do, then you can decide what, if they stay, if they leave, but it's no real big problem.
Fantastic. Really good. What'd you get out of it?
Be present. Come from abundance with no attachment to outcome. In so doing, you put yourself on the same level as a hot woman who doesn't need anything from anybody.
Great. Fantastic. What'd you get out of it?
Several things. I liked what you said about basically using the illusion to pole vault to another higher reality or sleep deeper. Alex had a really good question. I recommend The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks about like that whole like barrier, like success barrier idea, and active state control.
Excellent. Awesome. What'd you get out of it?
A lot.
Grab this.
I got a lot out of it, but probably my favorite thing I'm reading here is rejection and failure is the best thing that can ever happen to you.
Yeah, taking action in life. It's fantastic. What'd you get out of it? Could I put you up here for a sec? What'd you get out of it?
What I got out of it was you have to commit to the works, self-analysis, feedback, your energy, and constantly challenging your frame.
Got it. Remember I told you I tried to come up with something for you today? So that was for you a lot today as well. Okay, what'd you get out of it?
Yeah,
Hold this.
organically try to make yourself feel as good as possible, and ideally try to, as long as you're in alignment with what makes you feel good, you'll seek the right path.
Awesome, awesome. Putting you on the spot slightly, what'd you get out of it?
I like how you expanded on attracting and not going after, and just kind of enjoying the rhythm of life. It's not always the bass drop.
Thank you. I love that.
What do you mean when you said curate your energy? Curate, what does that mean?
Curation is like when you're making an art exhibit and there's a lot of intentionality with how you're doing it. So if I say to myself, oh, my energy's a little off, maybe I go into nature. And then I work on shifting my focus for gratitude and work on shifting my focus into being present. Or maybe I go to a comedy club and then I work on laughing a bit more and not taking things so seriously. But, or maybe I read a book and have a different perspective or a different belief. Or maybe I say to myself, well, what would be an expansive version of who I am versus what is contracted? Am I in abundance or scarcity?
So if I feel down sometimes.
Yep, so then you could apply active state control. Or you could change your diet, anything like that. Yep.
I really liked how you talked about active state control. Active state control is like immune health for your brain.
Yeah.
That's huge.
People don't see it. It's freaking massive. Yep.
I like the example you gave about the cancer patient, because you can definitely empower yourself with your beliefs, but you have to recognize the actual steps you need to take in order to overcome these issues. And so not being full delusion, and also not being totally grieving and overthinking. So
killing yourself with your own mind.
Killing yourself with your own mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's just empowering beliefs, but not passive.
Fantastic. That's really good. Anything for you?
Yep.
You explaining why logic doesn't work with women and how they're testing your frame, especially with the emotions. They're essentially wearing your emotions almost like a t-shirt, and being in a logical frame or holding a logical conversation isn't going to give them any information.
Nope, very little actually.
Yeah. My favorite part is your analogy with being like the sun that's giving out good energy without needing anything in return. And that be also keeping a barrier that you cannot get too close to it, that it's kind of dangerous. And my second favorite thing is I admire your delivery. How I was looking at how you're explaining things, and not just the content, but how you're explaining things. And I admired that, bro. You're really good at it.
Thank you, bro. Well, guys, give yourselves a hand for going through this. It was a lot of fun to go through this little journey. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.